Yeah, buddies. It's last waltz week, Thanksgiving week. It's the Bennington show. The Bennington family Thanksgiving will be played Thursday and Friday on the show. I'm Ron Bennington. There's Gail Bennington.
Yo.
Stanley Stans Bennington.
What's up?
The man they call the Pearl Man, Danny Proman Bennington, and Joey Jojo Bennington. All excited for you to hear these shows on Thursdays and Fridays. Some of the most fun we've ever had, particularly even if you're sitting there at Thanksgiving dinner, if you look down and it's the last hour, just jump up to listen to Comedy 101.
You have to.
Tell a joke or be a joke. It's probably our favorite thing that we've ever done live. Someone wrote this to me today. And we like to take pretty good questions, but this is a pretty strange question. Hey, why the last waltz? What is that all about? Does it bring back memories when you were young and wild? Ronnie, with a Y, which, by the way, drives me crazy. The Last Waltz is the world's most famous Thanksgiving rock show. Took place for the band's last show. They invited an incredible guest list. They played out at one of Bill Graham's place. Bill Graham decided to make an entire Thanksgiving dinner for the entire audience. It was like 1,800, 2,000 people. They put up long tables. They told people to dress accordingly, and some people came in tuxes, and the ladies in long dresses, and guys in top hats, and it was just a magical show. Somebody wrote to me earlier this week, why doesn't everyone make a big deal out of that documentary? I can't make my way through it. I'm like, well, if you don't like the music, if you don't like what's known as classic rock, you're not going to like this documentary.
It's not going to be for you. It's pretty classic rock heavy.
Yes, I mean, Clapton, Muddy Waters, Dylan, a Beatle, a Stone, Neil Young, Joni Mitchell, Van the Man. I mean, it's fucking unbelievable, but you would have to like that music. By the way, I think Eric Stengel said that he watches that documentary once a month his entire life.
Really?
There's like one day of every month that he sits down and watches it pillar to post. Yeah, it's just absolutely fantastic. So we got together with our buddy Hard Rock Johnny, and he provides the food. And by the way, this year everybody was talking about how great it was.
Yeah, I was pretty jealous when I heard everyone saying how good the food was.
Yeah, we did not sit down and eat a Thanksgiving dinner because we were working.
Yes.
And it would have really, slowed us down a bit. I don't even think any of the comics ate, although he put up a thing in the back for them and they were going crazy about it.
Yeah, I heard that they had some really good snacks back there. Some flatbread, I believe it was.
The flatbread, and then the iBang brought them back some snickety snacks.
Nice spread.
Too. Yeah. Everybody really took care of the comics. Johnny took us up on the marquee, and we sat in the middle of Times Square and just, it was a phenomenal night for us. And by the way, the giant marquee at 43rd and Broadway, basically, as they call it, the crosswalk of the world, just said the Bennington family Thanksgiving on it. So our listeners were like, dude, I saw this like 6 blocks away. It was crazy. I met so many people. Some traveled in for it, made their first trip to New York for it. We just had a great time with the listeners. It was a really fun night. We were actually talking about this as we were recording the drop-ins last night, and just talking about how thankful we are. We've all been on a high, I think, since then.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
If it wasn't enough that it was just an incredible night, it was so much fun. It was like it was kind of our coming out party for the show, as.
Yeah, your first time doing a live gig, Joey Jojo's first time doing a live gig, Dan Proma's first time doing a live gig, and Chris Stanley, a real coming out for, because let's face it, he spent 8.5 years as grunt boy, but his position has moved up this year.
He's a whole new man.
You will hear the pop that Chris Stanley gets, and I have to admit, I feel like I took a beat on that because I got a little choked up. You know what I mean? Because I just know. I mean, yeah. Is he an alcoholic and a drug addict? Yeah, he is.
Sure.
I mean, is he a bad producer? Oh, absolutely. But he's a good dude. You know what I mean? He's a good dude. And I want to say that before the funeral. I don't want to wait. You know what I mean? Because I'll crush at his funeral. I'll come up and say some things.
Looking forward to it.
You fucking guys are going to be lying on the ground crying.
Oh my God, I can't imagine.
Joey Jojo, the pop from the audience that he got.
Yeah.
And I'm standing there and I see his eyes as big as saucers because when you were, just coming from radio, you don't really picture how many people are listening. You know?
Yeah, it's a very surreal experience for anyone who hasn't done it before. I mean, even bringing Joe out, I think I was just in shock up there. I couldn't believe the reaction that he was getting. I was so excited for him.
I know this is hard to believe to the, average listener. People love Joey Jojo.
He's beloved.
Dan Perlman popped it up as well as fucking produced getting the comedians, the barely comedians that have only been doing this like less than 6 months. And they walked out. Well, they weren't ready for a packed house. They didn't have any idea. And one of them had said to Dan, so there's people here too. They didn't know what the fuck they were doing. And they were perfect. The iBang booked and took care of the comedians that we had, which they were all telling me later. They had, the judges, comedians, the mentors, they had the time of their life, and I don't think the iBank could have picked 4 better comedians.
No, it was great.
They were fantastic. Here's Brian. What's up, Brian? O-Town.
Hey, what's going on, guys? I just wanted to make sure you guys noticed that you got a mention in the most popular game this year in its survival guide, in the Fallout 4 survival guide. It's page 10. If you go to the Ron and Fez Reddit, you can see that Ronnie gets a mention, and Stanley gets a mention, and Gail Ann gets a mention.
I don't even know what this thing is.
That's so weird. That's so cool.
Are you familiar with the game, Chris?
Yeah, Fallout 4 is like the biggest video game in the world right now. It's gigantic. Everyone's buying it. Everyone's playing it. There's just a giant marketing blitz for Fallout 4. It is the biggest video game in the world, bar none. And then there's a guide for it. And then, we're used as examples in the guide. As there's like, if Galan does this, he gets X amount of points. If Ronnie does this, he gets his charisma increases. And Stanley does this, his perks increase.
Then we got to play one day.
perks increase, right?
Yeah. All right, thanks, Brian. That was cool to hear.
That's awesome.
That's really, really cool to hear.
Have a happy Thanksgiving.
To you too, dude.
We're the Fallout 4 survival guide guys.
Hell yeah.
I love it.
Put us in the game. Gail has done a lot of voiceover.
Yeah. I have video game experience.
But is all your video, do you always play children or?
There's been a lot of children, usually male. If you play Red Dead Redemption, I'm actually the first voice that you hear in the game. Which is a paperboy.
What was your line? Do you remember?
I'm just doing like a general, extra, read all about it. And everyone was making fun of the fact that I was chosen as the little paperboy. In fact, there was an actual male child who read it first. And after the director listened to it, he's like, "This stinks. This kid is awful." And he's like, "Get me a different kid." And they were rushing around and they were like, "We can't get a kid on short notice." So I went in and did it. And then he was like, "Oh, okay, this sounds like a boy. This sounds definitely like a little boy." But it was pretty much like a Bart Simpson impression. I sounded like Bart Simpson.
All right, let me hear it one more time.
Extra, read all about it.
That's actually a game I'd want to play. I would want to play that game.
I want to be in it. I want to be in the next one.
I only have one video game voice, and no matter what they booked me for, I was always this gruff guy.
Yeah.
I want to get you.
I think you're a fireman once.
I was a fireman. I think I was a cowboy in that game, and but never like a good, brave person. Kind of a bully who starts apologizing immediately. which is really just, my life.
Yeah, I played a lot of male children and then like weeping women victims who are about to either be
raped or
or assaulted.
All right, let me hear one of those.
No, please. No, please, God. There was a lot of that. And there was like one where I was about to be shot point blank in the head, and I'm doing that. And I'm like, what am I doing with my life? What's happening?
You just gave me an idea for an interview show. We could call it the Voice Actor Studio, and we just invite voice actors on to talk about different things that they've done.
What were you thinking there when you were? Well, rape mostly, attempted rape.
Luckily I was born with a squishy voice, and everyone said to me, "You sound like either a little boy or a Japanese girl." Because you get some of that, right?
Yeah, I did a character for it was like a cartoon within one of the Grand Theft Autos. So it was called Princess Robot Bubblegum, but I played her sidekick called Saki, who was a male little creature, little boy.
Yeah.
I can't even remember what any of those lines were, but I remember for some reason I was doing a speedball, I think, and I had to say pee-pee time. But I remember being like, "Speedball makes Saki sick." That's pretty much it.
It's perfect. Maureen in New York, how are you?
Good, great. So good to talk to you again.
It's good to talk to you, darling. How's everything?
Good. It was so awesome at that Thanksgiving. I was so thrilled to get to come down, and I wish I could have stayed longer, but I have 12-year-old twins, and we had to bribe somebody to watch them, so I had to hop back on the train and get back home when it was over. But
now, who did you have with you that night?
I had my daughter with me.
And to her, this all looks insane, right? Because Maureen was like so excited and having fun.
Yeah.
I saw her daughter just be like, I don't quite get why this is such a positive thing. I always wonder too, if you weren't overly familiar with us, what would you think? Because, that last hour, if you didn't know that it was all being done with love.
I know.
They're pretty mean.
Yeah.
I even as a mom, I had the urge to kind of put a warm blanket around some of those guys up there. I felt like the one that kept staring at the ceiling. I was like, "Oh, you poor thing. Let me help you."
That dude came in with his own problems, but
I know.
but the iBang is doing an article on Comedy 101, Tell a Joke or Be a Joke, and they went back and talked to those dudes, and they all felt like it was a huge boost for them and felt like a welcome to the comedy. And the idea of that is, if you've ever seen Tough Crowd or any of the roast, this is the shit you're heading towards. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
If you're going to be a New York comic.
That's how you hang.
But thank you so much. I'm so glad that you came, Maureen. It was such a fun night.
My God, I loved it, and I bonded with Kashmir. We talked fashion, and I can't wait for him to get more segments. I wished I had more time with Gail. I have a new puppy. I wanted to show her a picture, and I still wanted to talk to you because you really do feel like family. Every day I listen. I walk around the house with wireless headphones on so my kids don't hear the dirty stuff.
Well, you'll have to just stop down to the studio sometime. But Kashmir, you do have something going, and you have everything but the push. Like if you tell Kashmir, "Hey, I want you to do this," he'll run out and do it. But he doesn't get that he's got to push a little bit. But who was more calm in front of that audience than Kashmir?
Nobody was more confident.
For being an intern, he was incredibly confident.
It was the pink
he
pants.
was great. He was running around asking if we were having a good time, and he was wonderful. And I had to sneak up to Joey Jojo and say, "That was me with the Monster Mash call." And
Yeah, that was great.
It was dead on.
Maureen, thank you so much.
I loved it. I hope we can do it again sometime. I'd love to come down to the city. My husband's a retired cop, so he knows his way around. I just get scared.
Well, we'll you let Chris know sometime, and we'll just bring you in, and you could just sit and check out the show as it's on one time. Yeah.
Oh God, I would love to do that. Thank you so much. It was awesome.
All right, thanks. Bye, Maureen.
Bye, Maureen.
She's so sweet. Dan in Long Island.
Hey, Ronnie, how you doing? Hey, Gail.
Hey, what's up?
Bros and hoes.
What's up?
Thank you so much for the invite. My wife and I had a tremendous time at Thanksgiving. It was, you touched on it before, it was electric. It seemed like everybody who was there, all the guests were like-minded, and we were talking to everybody, and it was like, like a regular Thanksgiving. A lot of dysfunction and ribbing on each other. It was just awesome.
It really was. I mean, if you really want to look at just a perfect night of fun, that was it. And the audience, I will never forget this. I said to the audience, do you want me to tell you who the comedians are? And they all yell no.
Surprise.
They wanted to be surprised. And that never happens.
That was awesome.
Yeah.
Well, it was even more awesome that you could tell that you guys totally were in the zone. And even the next day, it really meant a lot when we were all actually awaiting the next broadcast, the next morning, afternoon rather, and you said, one of the best audiences, and, you meant it, and stuff like that.
Oh, it was a blast for us.
Don't do that.
Amazing.
Yeah. I mean, first of all, it was the first time Gail or Chris sat up in front of a big live audience.
Yeah.
Chris has done things like this before, but he was always backstage or running around doing stuff. So both those guys were in that position where we did the first break like we're doing the show, but with a packed house staring at us. It's a different scene.
It was crazy because that was the first time that I hadn't been in the room beforehand, making sure everything was going to be fine for the broadcast. So
that's why this is the first time it actually ran well.
That's probably it.
I mean, we didn't have any problems because this thing didn't get all Stanley'd up.
Okay.
Here's Glenn, Pittsburgh.
Hey, buddies. I was playing Grand Theft Auto 5 like 3 weeks ago, and I rear-ended a Prius, and I swear I heard Gail Ann screaming, help, help, help.
It's possible. Like, I left there sometime around when that game started, so I think, everybody would always jump in and do a couple of those PED voiceovers, so...
PED is for...
Pedestrian.
So glad.
Jesus,
I was so nervous.
Pedal voiceovers.
Yeah. I would actually, if I was in the industry, come up with a different term than PED. So you'll be playing Jarrett Fogel in this.
Really?
Okay.
I guess I'll be the little boy again.
Yeah. All right. Thanks so much, Glenn. Charlie, Jersey.
Ronnie, if I go, I want you to know it's okay for Chris to remarry, but I don't want him to marry that Rhonda kid. So her eyes are too small, too close together. It's weird.
Come here for a hug. I just want to hug you uncomfortably for a while now. He's doing a line from what I believe is the best show, maybe in the history of television, Fargo. I know people say that a lot, but this show is so fucking good, and nobody is safe. Nobody knows where this show is going one moment to the next. It's fucking crazy. There was a character who we thought got out of trouble, went into trouble. There was a character we thought was done, was just the opposite. Talk about a swerve that you weren't ready for. Where that character who we thought was badass was even more badass than we thought.
Crazy.
I've never seen a show that sets up certain people as undefeatable, and Ronda Rousey's their asses so fucking fast. It is, it's crazy. It's absolutely crazy how great that show is.
It was such a good episode. Well, I mean, they've all been really great. I say that every week.
I've never, first of all, heard the song Locomotive Breath and not been happy wherever it was used in television or film. But that opening last night was unbelievable.
Insane.
And then I actually screamed out, it's on for an extra half hour. And I didn't know whether I could take the stress of it.
Yeah, it was very tense. It's always very tense, but yeah, this episode... My stomach was in that.
They're doing it perfectly. Like, every episode is getting better and crazier every single week. There's no lulls in anything.
I got good news for you guys. It's been renewed for a third season.
Yes!
Yeah!
Now, will there be any Gerhardts in that third season? I wouldn't bet.
Man.
I don't know.
Maybe.
I don't know. Joey Jojo came in with some big wire stories. One, you're calling her the blonde Jen Selter.
Yeah, she's the blonde Jen Selter, according to Cosmopolitan magazine. She is kind of younger, hotter, but she has 1.9 million followers on Instagram for posting booty workout videos.
No, she couldn't be younger than Jen and still be legal.
No, I think Jen Selter is 23.
And how old is this girl?
23, I believe. Yeah.
Okay, how do you grow that much ass in 23 years?
I don't know.
Seems like it's not enough time to let that ass cook.
Now, why did they lie and act like these are workout videos? I mean, Joe is on these workouts every day, and even this morning he said he lost 4 ounces.
Joe!
Took a good 15 minutes to do that workout.
Joe!
Yeah, work batch.
The only reason they do say that is because they get sponsorship deals from bullshit.
All right, there's
companies.
where she really looks good in the jeans.
Yeah, those are nice.
No, that's a little massive.
That's
looks intrusive.
That's looks kind of painted on.
Yeah, I don't know how she would have got those jeans on.
I don't know how she has that ass with that gap as well. Like, I mean, that seems like there's too much ass to have so much of that gap. Like, it's crazy. This woman's fucking out of control.
How's the face? Because I know
she doesn't let us anywhere near it.
I know
her ass is her face, right? I mean, that has to be it.
I haven't even looked.
Go ahead, go.
I know that that's Selter's weak point.
But I mean,
that's what I say. Not not me. I'm not saying that.
Yeah, that's what
but
people complain about. But you're not going to get everything in life.
No, you can't have it all.
Now, I don't think that this. I'm going to be totally honest. I don't put her in Selter area. I don't think that she has the lightness to her thing that Selter has. Selter has almost like an innocence, like, I don't know this is about my ass.
Yeah.
Even though, obviously, there's got to be marketing meetings about her ass on a daily basis.
Also, Selter's waist to butt ratio is pretty insane.
It's a very shapely butt.
Like, she's such a teeny waist, though.
So, Joe, which one are you picking?
Honestly, if I had to choose between the two, I'm going with Amanda Lee.
What?
Yeah.
I can't play that game.
Nuh-uh.
Dead serious.
I can't play that game.
Just a little bit bigger.
You're like one of those guys who thought that Jerry and the Pacemakers were better than the fucking Beatles.
Jen Selter's original gangster with that butt.
Yeah, she is OG. No one has gotten famous with a workout black butt. And this is what makes black women so mad, that for years, they were all about that butt and nobody seemed to mainstream care. What I like to call the lamestream sex media, right? They ignored it. All right, so it's up on the iBang. You can take a choice for yourself, but I'm going to agree with Gail that you got to Selter this thing. Chris, you're all Selter?
I'm all Selter all the time. I mean,
She's your
that's
girl.
my Instagram account, basically.
Oh.
You're Jen Selter?
I'm Jen Selter.
What?
Also, like, in today's world, the blonde is not as in vogue as a brunette. Like, the brunettes are actually in higher demand. So Jen Selter blows
I
away.
think of blondes as tit girls and brunettes as ass girls.
I would agree. That's definitely the way it normally goes. But it's nice to see that the brunettes are having their day in the sun. And so are the butts.
I mean, if you see that hashtag thighbrow right there, it's pretty nice.
There's just a lot of it. I just haven't found myself going, I'm done with Jen Selter. I don't know if I'm ready to move on. It doesn't matter who you would be bringing in here.
I think there's more to discover about Jen Selter.
Now, here's the thing. Are we insane? Can't you have more than one giant ass? You know, whoever said that we have to be limited ourselves? And yet, you're the one who asked.
Yeah, but there does need to be one to reign supreme over all asses.
Okay.
One ass to rule them all. One ass to bind them.
Look at the globe, though. The shape of Selter's
It is a globe.
butt.
She works out. She's not just born with it. Now, I've heard a lot of people say that she's got cement in her ass, and I don't believe it. By the way, I thought I saw her in my neighborhood the other day, but this person had on a long coat and was a guy that apparently was screaming at an Uber driver, "Where are you? Where are you?" So I was walking by. I'm like, is that Jen Selter? But this would have been an awful time to say, excuse me, sir, I'm interested in your girlfriend's ass. Can we please have her pull her coat up?
I won't be able to identify her without saying yes.
Yeah. He is constantly going back. Who knew that Joey Jojo was going to be show perf?
He is.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm just trying to decide still, in my mind.
He can't shake that freak nasty vibe. You know?
He's like an American Pie kid. You know what I mean? Like, he's still waiting for that special night.
Yeah.
Stanley is more of our Jarrett Fogel.
Yeah, definitely.
He walks a lot. He eats lunch meat.
Love sandwiches.
And will get on a plane to have sex with an underage girl.
No.
That was the thing about Fogel, that like he literally was planning his trips. You know what I mean?
He'd come to New York and he'd get like a young prostitute and see if the young prostitute had even younger friends. That was like his move.
He must have just thought he was fucking above the law for so long, right?
Teflon Jared.
All because he walked a lot and ate a sandwich a day.
And then his shrink blames the fucking weight loss on him becoming a ped.
Well, here's the thing. Is he a guy that felt like he missed his dating age? You know what I mean? Because he was so obese?
Because he was in college when he was giant fat Jared.
Yeah, but look, if he was interested in giant girls, college girls, he'd be fine. Yeah. No one's going to bother him. I mean, this is not an awful fucking thing that we're saying. You can be a grown-ass man and date an 18-year-old girl and no one can touch you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
They might raise an eyebrow when you walk by, but that's about all they can do.
Yeah.
And he could have had it.
That was his oyster. You could be with 18-year-old girls and it was just not enough. And let's face it, there's some people that are that young who look even younger and who are fine enough actors to play out any game that you want. No one can touch you.
All within the safety of the law.
Safety of the law. I mean, let's face it. We're not ISIS.
No.
We're not. Not yet.
What?
I mean, if they win, we'll have to be ISIS.
Yeah, of course.
If they conquer us, we're going to follow along and be good ISIS people.
I'll salute that ISIS flag.
I pledge allegiance to the head that was recently chopped off by ISIS. This is every morning the kids have to put their hands over their heart where they run a fucking skull up a flagpole. By the way, if anyone has gotten their Scope Bros shirts, yesterday, Scope Bros trended nationally. If you had, put up a picture of you in your Scope Bros shirt.
I want to see you, Scope Bros. I want to see you in these beautiful Scope Bros t-shirts, which you can still order if you go to the iBank.com.
But here's the thing, Chris. To fully pull this together, we've got to show ISIS that there are a lot of Scope Bros out there. And these Scope Bros are going to be vigilant, watching out against terrorism.
Oh, yeah, we're going to
making sure
ISIS.
Jersey City doesn't become a fucking celebration.
Nuh-uh.
All right. Well, who's this from, Gail?
So this is from at Dining Room Radio, sent this to us last night. What up, Scope Bros, with his new Scope Bros t-shirt in lightning speed.
And here's what's, it's really cool too. He is smoking a cigarette, wearing his fucking shades with a thumb up. That's
Nice.
very Chris Stanley.
Love it, Scope Bro.
So that's under hashtag Scope Bros, hashtag Bennington, at the iBang, and at Gail Ann, sent to all those places. And that's live from the dining room, already getting it out there, making it all come together in a big, big way.
And we also have a winner from yesterday's Scope Bros contest.
Oh, I forgot about that.
Who gets a signed Scope Bros t-shirt.
Nice.
The winner is Mr. Shane Linney for the tweet. He wants you to share that broadcast, but he needs you to share your liver. Hashtag Scope Bros. You're the big winner.
Out of all the great lines, that's the one you picked?
Shane Linney.
I think all the other ones should have won. That was my favorite.
Do you have enough to give one to everyone?
No. Does it just one signed Scope Bros t-shirt?
Now, who did we say was kicking ass in that contest yesterday? We brought up a certain listener who was nailing line after line.
I think it was Carla.
Carla Finch.
Yeah.
And you didn't pick her.
She did not make the Scope Bros winner.
I don't see it, dude. I thought she was amazing. All right, so the first Scope Bro pick is up on Twitter right now, and that's pretty goddamn exciting. What else you got, Joey? Because you came in with some good Dayman prep today.
Well,
You're very consistent.
thank you.
All right, I know what I want to bring up that
Okay.
you sent in. The Turkey of the Year award. Did you know that Hollywood gives out the Turkey of the Year, which is saying the movie that's stiffed the most? Forbes has put this out. Chris, what do you think? What movie stiffed the most?
I'm gonna say. I would say. Well, didn't the last Thor movie come out and not do very well? I'm gonna say the last Thor movie.
It did not make it, right, Joe?
It did not make the
Because
list.
the Thor movie did, a lot better than most. What do you got, Gail?
I would say, so this is like a flop situation,
Flop
correct?
situation. Turkey.
I would say it would probably be the new Bill Murray movie, maybe.
The new Bill Murray movie.
That's actually number one.
All right, Gail.
You
It's
did
it.
it. Rock the Kashba.
Rock the Casbah.
Kabas.
And, Kabaz?
Kashba. Kashba.
You've heard the Clash before.
Yeah, no,
Please.
I know the Clash.
Well, there wasn't Rock the Kabaj. These are not the Clash.
This is not the Killpage.
All right, so unfortunately, I mean, we're cheering, but we love Bill, and that movie didn't do very well, right?
No, they based it off of the percentage of the return that the movie earned since November 18th. So up until that point.
I think it's going to be surpassed by Star Wars. I think Star Wars just...
Yeah.
I don't think
Really?
anyone's going. I don't hear any buzz on it. I don't hear anybody talking about it. Just nothing. I don't think there's any toys tied in. Someone told me that a soccer ball is a robot, but I can't even believe that.
Stink Bomb Fest.
All right, give us some of the other ones that...
All right, so ranking in at number 12 was Hot Tub Time Machine 2. It had a 94% return on it. It was made for $14 million and only brought in $13.1 million.
That seems like not so bad.
Yeah. I mean, it seems better.
But the marketing money is what cost you.
Right.
This one happened a few months ago. It was talked about a lot for being a huge bomb, mainly because it took $150 million to make, brought in $119.8 million. Do you guys know that movie?
That does not sound like a bomb to me.
Yeah.
It sounds like, it didn't do as well as we want it. But if you make over $100 million...
Yeah, but it was made for $150 million.
But in terms of giant bombs and giant losses, it's not too bad.
No.
This is still this is the bottom of the list here. This is 11.
Yeah, this was supposed to do really well.
So it made $100 million. It cost $150 to make.
Yeah.
Was it I'm going to guess this.
Okay.
One. Was it like the second Vampire High School movie?
No, it was the Peter Pan remake, Pan.
I didn't even know that came out.
I didn't know it made $120 million. That's not bad.
I know,
at
that's
all.
only in America. Then you go around and make it in the rest of the world. All right, go ahead.
All right, number 10. It made $47.3 million, but it took $60 million to make. That was Mordecai.
Never even heard of this.
Don't even know.
Mordecai.
They did not do good with the marketing on that.
Yeah.
Oh, that's that Johnny Depp movie where no one knew what the fuck it was.
Yeah.
It was based on a book, and he was a weird detective.
You're
in
thinking of
France.
Tonto.
Oh, you're right.
Oh,
That was a
Tonto.
bomb. All right, let's keep going with this.
All right, number 9
Number 9.
starred an Oscar nominee. I believe he won an Oscar as well. It took $37 million to make and made $26.3 million.
All right, I'm on a guess that was Marlon Brando, Island of Dr. Moreau.
It was not.
Anybody else?
2015's.
Oscar winner.
What is it Aloha?
Yeah.
Oh,
I mean, yes.
Bradley Cooper, right?
Bradley Cooper, yeah.
He never won an Oscar.
Just nominated, bro.
Nominated.
Oh,
That's my
nominated.
And it wasn't for Aloha, I'll tell you that much.
Aloha was strange. I watched it. There was some beautiful, and I saw it on pay-per-view. There was some beautiful scenes. There was a couple of characters that, by the way, Bill Murray was also in that. This hasn't been, the best Bill Murray, despite the fact that he's still the leader of the internet. But it was very inconsistent, and then everyone was mad that Emma Stone was supposed to be Hawaiian in her background. And
right.
There weren't a lot of Hawaiians in a movie called Aloha.
Yeah, dude, she was supposed to be like Hawaiian and half Asian.
Yeah. I guess, yeah. But her character, even at one point, was real military. At the next point, was the manic pixie dream girl. Just they're a little bit out of control there. All right, what else you got?
Okay, so this movie had a 60% return. took $6 million to make, but made $3.6 million. And I had never heard of this movie until this list.
Well, then tell us.
It was We Are Your Friends.
Who was in this?
Is that? I think this is on demand now too. I think this is something. This isn't the electric dance thing, is it?
Yes, it is.
He's a
DJ
DJ.
Cole Carter.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
I see this on demand, and I never pulled the trigger on it.
Reminds you of Hyde, the whole DJ thing.
All right, keep going, Joey.
All right. The next one is also a pretty big budget. This one you guys should know had a 55% return, $28 million to make, and made $15.4 million.
Boy, you give us some great clues there. So $58 million to make, only 15% came back in.
Yes.
15% of that.
Can we get like a genre or a hint?
Action.
Action.
Was it the last Transporter movie? I think there was a Transporter movie that came out this year.
That's got to be it.
Right, Transporter.
Action comedy.
God damn it.
Oh, action comedy. Did it have Kevin Hart in it?
No.
Why is that funny to you?
Well, no, 'cause that would have been a hit, you know?
No, all of his movies are not giant hits. Well, why don't you just tell us?
It's American Ultra.
I never fucking heard
That's
of
made
this.
up.
Jesse Eisenberg and Emma.
Oh, I did hear about this.
yeah.
Somebody I
The
know
CIA
saw
guy.
it.
Kristen Stewart.
This is one of those things that some people saw it and they loved it, and other people, they said, I saw it, I didn't understand it. It was one that I was planning on seeing and didn't go to.
Yeah,
This
me
has
too.
been a year that I haven't gone, you know. I feel like they're not making movies for me anymore, you know.
All we
Like,
have is
yeah.
Creed.
Yeah, and there's a thing up where there's a lot of complaints right now from Scott Stapp saying there should be more Creed in Creed. The video is up, and he goes, first of all, with this, they didn't even bring up Woodstock '99, and he's got a good fucking point.
He's right.
Now, by the way, if someone said, like, if we were playing Family Feud, and it was name a Creed song, what song would you make?
Arms Wide Open?
I was going to say with open wide arms, or I guess that's the title.
Can You Take Me Higher?
See, I think it's going to be down to those two. I think you can't. And I was going to go with the Prism one, but I was there early.
Yeah.
I was working in alt rock radio there.
You were on top of that. You were there when the wave broke, you know?
I was. I brought them out, I believe, at either House of Blues in Orlando, one of those type places.
Yeah.
And I remember what was asked of me before I introduced the band. Do not curse. They were a religious band at the time.
Yeah, they were like a Christian rockers, I guess.
Yeah. So my opening line was, "What the fuck up, Orlando? Are you fuckers ready for fucking Creed? Creed's gonna rip your fucking dicks off, you fuckers! Yes! They're going to rip off your dick and then fuck you in the mouth and then make you eat your own dick. Are you ready for that?
Take my dick! Take it! Here's my dick! Let's do it!
Do it! Do it, please!
Do it to my dick, Creed!
Gail wants me to stop because she and I were talking the other night, and she says that is her favorite thing in the world, particularly when you yell, "Do it, do it."
Do it is my favorite thing.
And she-
It's like something that's already happening and you want more of it.
Do it! Do it, baby! Do it! And that's Army Man at a fucking rock show for some reason. Do it!
My dick is yours! Do it!
My dick is yours. Can you feel it when you rip it off? Cock and balls there in your hands. Did you squeeze it when you ripped it off? All right, I forgot what we were even saying. Was it Creed?
Yeah, it was
Creed.
the lead singer from Creed.
Yeah, but now we're back into your fucking contest.
Yeah, what's your
Come on,
game?
bro.
All right.
Come on, dude. You're hosting this fucking family fun house.
Bring
All right, so this came in at number 5.
Oh, God. There's clues,
5
bro.
more?
It had a 46% return, $5 million budget, made $2.3 million.
$5 million budget.
Yeah.
Sounds like a fucking.
Is that a student film?
Is that Louis C.K. episode number 7? $5 million is not a lot of money.
Seems like
For
dick.
a movie. No,
yeah.
it's nothing.
So what do you got?
A movie called Gem and the Holograms.
Oh, yeah.
I never heard of this.
Yeah, this is the, remake of the cartoon of my childhood, Gem, and they tried to do a live action Gem and the Holograms, which I feel like, little kids don't know that show.
Right.
And people my age would be too old to just go see a Gem and the Holograms. So I don't know who.
They're here, finally!
Yes, Jim!
I will tell you this. I love Gem, but hate the holograms. And I think that's
I'm the other way around. I love the holograms.
Jim, go solo! Ditch these losers! Do it!
You're hurting her. She's asking you not to keep doing that. She's saying it hurts so much.
You get a cheap laugh every time. I hate it.
By the way, Shane is very excited about something. Go ahead, Shane.
Go, bro, winner.
Scope Pro winner! Shane, what was your big line?
I said he wants us to share the broadcast, but he needs us to share his liver.
You know what? Now that I hear it done correctly, it is funnier than I thought.
Thanks, Shane.
Mr. Stanley is going to sign it for you. How would you like him to personalize that? What would you like on your shirt?
I got to be Scope Bro number 1.
Scope Bro number 1.
That's
There it is.
You got it, Shane.
By the way, all right, we'll put you on hold. That should be your thing to sign to everybody anyway. Your Scope Bro number 1. Your next thing, and we'll talk about this when we get back from Thanksgiving. You got to think of something to do with the Scope Bros.
Okay,
now.
yeah.
I mean, fighting ISIS would be great.
If you can get them to unite like that,
Maybe even the new fucking church should be fighting ISIS since 2015.
That'll be huge for us.
And if you beat ISIS,
Oh, God!
forget about it. People will go nuts.
Go down in history until the next terrorist group pops up. But, we'll have ISIS done.
That'll beat that Lewis scope that you're after.
I'm coming for that Lewis Scope network.
Although his Daily Deuce.
it's hard to beat the Daily Deuce.
What if
I'm a big fan of the Daily Deuce.
What if Chris just does something called the weekly shit? Because it takes him that long.
so unhealthy?
It's finally built up enough that I have to go.
But he's on for 2 hours.
I'm doing it!
It's coming out! It's still coming out!
Gail is asking you not to do that voice. It physically hurts her.
I feel like I'm doing sit-ups. It hurts so bad.
I'm doing it!
All right, let's try to get fucking Joe's contest over.
Okay.
All right.
It's driving me nuts.
Number 4
God.
starred Vince Vaughn, Tom Wilkinson, and Dave Franco, as well as one Sienna Miller.
Yeah, I know what this film is. I saw the trailer. We went on a business trip, I believe is the name of it.
Yeah, Unfinished Business.
Okay.
We went on a
Mine was a little
visit.
too on the nose.
We went on a
But I remember Dave Franco got hit in the back with a dart and didn't care from the trailer.
Yeah.
Vince Vaughn, he could use a hit. He really could.
It's
Yeah.
been a long time.
Yeah.
Has it been since old school?
No, because he had the wedding
Crashers, which is over 10 years old now.
Yeah.
You know?
Weird to think.
Yeah, I know, isn't it?
That feels like not that long ago.
I know, but life is just,
Are we dying? right
yeah,
now?
we're dying. Everyone that's listening to this is dying.
Oh,
No.
no.
I'm already dead. Give me some love because I'm dying out here!
All right, go ahead. Keep going.
Number 3
For me.
had a 28% return.
Oh, that helps.
Okay.
$70 million to make. $19.4 million is how much it raked in. And it stars Chris Hemsworth playing Nick Hathaway.
That's Thor.
It's the Thor movie, right?
Yeah.
I was right.
Wait, was that Vacation?
No, it was the movie Black Hat.
Oh, when he was a badass hacker.
Yeah.
I'd never even heard this.
All right, so he's like a real tough hacker, and he's like running around fucking trying to get other hackers. That's like the whole movie.
There's no such thing as a tough hacker, is there?
This actually could be called drug pitch meetings.
You know what really helps a pitch? When you put your arms into it. He's a drunk hacker.
He had a Popeye dance. The Popeye, like, I go swimming.
He happens to be a drunk hacker.
All right, keep going. You're driving me nuts.
All right, this is the last one. We already
Shit, I wish
established.
there was more.
How many more, please?
So this is number 1?
This is number 2. Rock the Cashball was number 1.
Yeah, I
see,
guessed that
fucking-
runner.
Come on.
Thanks,
You
Gail.
asked me to guess, and I just was so good
Yeah,
at
but
it.
you ended the game so fast.
on,
now it's
Gail.
turned into
Now
shit.
that 2 is the game.
Yeah.
Boo, too.
I don't know. Rock
2
the
from you?
Casbah again?
It was made for $40 million, brought in only $10.7 million,
Still sounds like a
and
lot.
stars Sean Penn, Javier Bardem.
I know what this was. It was like the shooter, the gamer, the
Yeah, so
The-
close.
the guy who runs around. I'm trying to be an action star after doing good movies for a long time.
That's right. It's the gunman.
The gunman.
The gunman.
The gunman.
The gunman.
That sounds like a baby wrote
From the
it.
director of
This
Taken.
man has a gun. It's called Gunman. And everywhere he goes, he has a gun with him.
You mean gunman? No, the gunman.
His name happens to be Gunman. I'm Louis J. Gunman. The Gunman.
So that was all of them there?
That was all of them.
Since
Now,
number 1
I
for
thought-
fun was taken away from us.
I
Gail.
thought that Tomorrowland would have been on there. I was waiting for that to be one of the high ones.
Did
no,
not,
that was a giant hit.
It was a hit?
Yeah.
it was a
Worldwide
hit. It didn't crack the top 12.
It made $4.7 billion.
Oh,
now,
shit.
did any of you guys see the Eddie Murphy Mark Twain Award last night?
I didn't see it, no.
It was a night of great comedians coming out to congratulate Eddie and show clips. All the clips, I believe, were 37 years old. It was so funny to see how many clips were when he was in his early 20s.
He hasn't been up to much lately.
It doesn't seem like it. I'm sure he's done some. I think Shrek was the newest thing that I
Right.
saw. And they actually moved it up to like Shrek 4. But was unbelievable was he comes out at the end and he says, he's just being smooth and he's Eddie Murphy and he's on top of the world. I mean, he's sitting in this booth with 12 children and this beautiful blonde chick that he's with now that is just, drop dead gorgeous. Now, here's a guy who's got 12 children. You're like, okay, I mean, he can afford it. You know what I mean? This isn't bad for society. The guy wants to just keep having children. And he apparently loves them all and they all love him. But then he stepped up and he goes, y'all taking back Bill Cosby's award? And then that gives a shit that everybody is laughing. And then he starts going, wouldn't it be great if Bill just did one more show, just ripping everybody? And he's like, I put the pill in the pudding, I put the pill, and she takes the pill in the chocolate. And then he just goes like this. And who is Hannibal Buress? And the fucking place explodes. And you're like, literally, fucking Eddie, please stop fucking around. You know what I mean? Please stop fucking around.
Bring it.
Yeah. But he spent a lot of time going, he's surprised he didn't get paid for it. He goes, I hear they raised money for this, but none of it went to me. But if you were Hannibal Buress and you heard Eddie Murphy doing a Bill Cosby thing and fucking saying, who is he? It was fucking hilarious.
He must
man.
have shit.
It
That's so
was
crazy.
It was great. Is it up on the iBang?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes, thank you. So go and look at that clip, particularly the end of it. It's just killer. By the way, the handsome Vault, the man that we consider the most attractive yet private person in comedy, is doing a special that you can go see. Is it tonight, Chris?
Yes, it is tonight.
Give me all the details on that, if you will. Or Joey, whoever gets to it first.
Who do you
gets
think it's
to
going to be?
read it. I think Joey.
It's an album. He's taping an album tonight at the Village Underground at 8 p.m. at
So do
Village
the whole
Underground.
announcement, as if you were now.
Joe Mackey is performing tonight at the Village Underground for a album taping at 8 p.m. Go to thevillageunderground.com for tickets.
No, this is, we think is like a perfect place to do comedy. And we love Joe Mackey.
I adore Joe Mackey.
Everyone does. He is the handsome Volp. He's probably the most attractive, funny man in history.
Easily.
But you know nothing about him. His lips are sealed.
He's so mysterious, too. He just, like, comes into the room, he moves out, and you're just like, where's he going? I don't know. I really don't.
He said the only roast that he would show up to is Sam Morril's. He would love to do a roast of Sam Morril.
He'd rip him.
They are the funniest fucking friends in history. They're just so great together.
They're awesome.
But Joe Mackey, everybody is mad for him. To see him do this. 2 shows tonight?
2 shows tonight, first 8 o'clock. Go to thevillageunderground.com.
Are they charging at the door, or is this because it's a thing open to the general public?
I believe they're charging at the door. I'll confirm.
All right. So that's Joe Mackey tonight. 2 shows, Village Underground. Also another big show in town tonight, Chris, at the Creek and the Cave.
Actually, there's 3 shows for Joe Mackey. Free, excuse me. It is free for Joe Mackey.
It is free.
Okay, nice.
Okay, so what I need my guys to do is to read the prep before the show, so you're ready to do it. But at the Creek and the Cave also tonight,
we have Barry Crimmins performing. He'll be performing at the Creek and Cave in Long Island City through Wednesday.
Nice.
Follow at Crimmins on Twitter.
Here's an exciting thing. U2 has rebooked their Paris show. They are also going to be on HBO Live. That's certainly a show that I don't want to miss, to see what it's like for the city of Paris when this show was booked on the Saturday night, when I think it was 2 days before that the attack on Paris, and U2 has decided, and HBO have decided to go back and do this live. It's pretty incredible when you think about it.
I know people are giving them some shit over canceling their show initially, and I figured it's not like they're not going to be back there, and I assumed it would probably be sooner rather than later. There was nothing wrong with taking the time to...
Well, I'm sure that wasn't up to U2.
Right.
If you would have thought that we would have had a concert in New York on 9/13, I doubt it very much, because there was so much police work going on at that time.
Yeah.
I'm surprised they even did it this fast. I'm sure some people think it's too soon to go back and do a big live concert and get people together. But again, I'm sure this is a decision of the city of Paris as much as it is HBO's or U2's. I think it's pretty remarkable. I also know that Coldplay says they've got Obama singing on their new album. I believe it's called Yellow is the song.
Oh, good. Good, because I really like that one.
That's the one that everyone likes, even the people who don't like Coldplay. But it's from when he was singing Amazing Grace at that thing. They just lifted it. They just basically took that track and put it in theirs.
I hope we get a piece of that.
Did they ask?
Let him try to sue. I think that would look even worse than if the president tries to sue.
Want some residuals on these.
Joe, before we move on, didn't you have another big story up on the iBank today? Something that you day-manned on us?
Oh, yes, I did. On the iBang right now is...
He's trying to find it.
Marilyn Monroe.
No, that wasn't it.
But that was the Charlie Sheen story that came out.
No, that one's not even going to go up.
Adele. It's Adele and how many records she's breaking right now.
Nice.
She is on track to beat NSYNC's 2000 release of No Strings Attached right now with 4 million albums sold within the first week. That's the record. She has 4.3 right now.
There's no way it's 4.3.
It's 2.3. My mistake.
Okay.
2.3, and NSYNC is at 2.4 million sold in the first week.
Chris, we got Barry coming in.
He's en route. He's en route.
Barry Crimmins stopping by to do the program today. This is also up on the iBang. One of the Washington players say that the refs hate the Redskins just simply because of their name, Redskins. And they throw flags because they are offended by the name Redskin.
That's just bullying. Just because they're, just because of the racism?
Is it bullying or rescuing? That's the hard thing to do. If you bully bullies, doesn't that make you a good person?
Do you think that this is just an excuse, though, that they're just after us because of the name?
One way around that is to change that name.
I like that they really can't see what the problem is. Have you ever seen any of when they do interviews with those fans? They're completely like, oh yeah, we don't mean it in an offensive way.
Right. But we're just wearing our fucking feathers in our hair and war paint on our face going, woo, 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 and with little tomahawks acting like that we're chopping into other quarterbacks.
Waving around scalps.
We're saying we like Redskins. That's what we're saying. We're not against Redskins. We are Redskins. It's like they have no idea. And when they're confronted, I think that they can see it eventually, right. But the idea is so removed that it doesn't even let them sink in.
But I grew up rooting for the Fighting Irish.
Right.
And it never once dawned on me that could be a offensive thing. Although the joke ever since I was a kid, every time a black guy, that's a great Irishman. You know what I mean? Look at those Irish out there, and then we'd all have a fine laugh about it. But I mean, I guess somebody somewhere might be offended by Fighting Irish and a leprechaun who's doing push-ups every time that you score, and he has to have red hair, you know?
Well, I guess the implication with the Fighting Irish is drunken Fighting Irish.
It really is.
It's not like because they're good boxers.
Right.
The idea is a brawl.
No one ever says the Irish, they fight the good fight against evil, you know? Because they don't show up for any wars. They only headbutt in bars. But, you know, I would have to be pointed out to me that this is much more offensive than you think. But it's very funny. We're going to play Bill Burr's Unmasked in December, and I recorded with him long ago in the summer. This is to promote his cartoon that's coming out.
F is for Family.
Which,
Netflix.
By the way, excuse me, Chris?
On Netflix.
On Netflix, thank you. Bill had, no idea that's why we were doing it. But he said a line, he goes, he thinks it's okay if a person is racist up until their 30s. Like they need to learn not to be a racist. Like you can't be too tough on people who were raised with racism. And I remember I was 17 before someone pointed out that some of the things that I was saying was racist because I was in a different environment from where I grew up.
Right. And you're a product of the way you're taught. You can't necessarily hold someone accountable to that. But I don't always agree with that opposite idea of like, oh, an elderly person is set in their ways and that they get a free pass. Particularly the generation that I think, our oldest generation right now, our oldest living generation, they were not that old when civil rights was going on.
Well, you could actually be for civil rights and be still pretty racist.
Right.
You know what I mean? I mean, you could still be, they just go, those people. Those people is just a shortcut, But yeah, I mean, I thought it was a funny concept that he had. Right. And by the way, I don't think he set it up to be a law. He was just speaking as a person. It takes a little while to get over the initial prejudice that you were raised with. Now, the interesting thing now is because of the internet, I don't think you were raised as much by your neighborhood as I was. You brought up a thing yesterday about boiled, I think we do it in the Thanksgiving show, right?
Yeah, I think that maybe.
And none of these guys knew what it was, but I'll give it away as part of our Thanksgiving thing. But you were talking about getting boiled peanuts all the time and stopping and get it. And these guys had no idea what you were talking about. It's a very Southern food.
Yes, and it was, to me, it was like a common, like, that was all we had for street food. Like, there was no other street food that you would be driving down the road like, oh, let's pull off
and get that. Yeah. So that there's a neighborhood thing. There's a regional thing, but I don't know today if kids were raised. Well, see, I think the schooling, the way we set up kids now, they said 40% of millennials are for limiting speech that could be hurtful to other people. This is a gigantic number for somebody who was raised in my time, where the number is much smaller. The oldest people of all still living are way lower. They're at like 12%. They're like, speech is more important than anything.
Right.
Now, I try to point out to people all the time, speech is a very important thing, and you don't want to limit it of what people can say. But the reason 40% of millennials feel that way is because we raised them that way in our schools. We raised them not to hurt feelings, because none of us wanted to send our kids to school and have them come home crying.
Yeah, and that comes from your own personal lessons. You know, if you were raised one way, you see the world a certain way, and you try to right that wrong.
Right.
You know, if you were a kid who either was bullied or even experienced bullying, like witnessing it, and it meant something to you, and then you taught your children differently, then suddenly they're at this other end of the spectrum where they're not valuing the other side. It's almost like each generation pushes their parenting in one farther direction. It's very hard to find that middle area where, like, you don't want to hurt people, but you also don't want to give away the power of having an opinion and saying what's on your mind.
Do you guys remember lessons in school about using words and not hurting people's feelings with words?
Yeah, I do.
Do you remember how they presented that to you?
They said that certain words will hurt people and that we shouldn't use them, and then they gave examples but kind of danced around the actual words themselves.
Right.
But they're very mindful to teach us, hey, don't speak like this to someone, don't call anyone names you don't want to be called.
Now, do you feel that way now that you're an adult?
Yes and no. I mean, I think when I was a kid, it was just much more black and white, you know? You don't say
that's
this.
Racial.
You know?
Come on, man.
Sorry, guys.
It really comes off bad.
Oh, boy. We weren't even talking.
It didn't occur to me.
Not races, I meant.
I was thinking Jew and white, but okay. Now, Stanley, what about for you? Because you grew up in an urban school.
Oh yeah, people were like slurs were the big thing. Like you shouldn't say slurs or call people slurs. And in my home life, my father was very big on the anti-black and anti-Jewish slurs in the household.
Now, did he actually hate them, or did he just drop those kind of words when he talked about them?
I think with black people, no.
Yeah.
With Jewish people, he might have actually really disliked them.
Okay, so stuff that would have been taken, it's just that the word wasn't as powerful to him as it was to younger people.
Exactly. Yeah.
I remember just general lessons of the kind of golden rule stuff.
Yeah.
But I don't think, in my experience, I had the level of conversation about the idea of bullying that from what I can tell, young people have in schools now. Like, I don't think that was as much of a conversation in school for me. But, you know, everybody, I think, probably had that kind of golden rule talk, and, you know, you don't want to hurt people. But I don't think that there was as in-depth conversation about bullying, name calling. And I think part of it has to do with the internet, that the bullying went home with kids.
Okay. That's interesting. I know the difference is, like, when you were a little kid, if the kid was having any trouble at school, the parent would show up. Hey, there's a kid saying something. My parents wouldn't have dreamt of that. My parents were more of, you got to strike back. You've got to stand your ground. That's the kind of advice that you would get from older people, where by the time you came along, it was like fighting is not an option. You got to go to the teacher and all that. And my parents were of the of the age where they went, if you go to the teacher, you're going to get a bad reputation. You got to fucking take this kid down.
It's a prison yard out there.
Yeah.
Get him in the crosshairs and take him down.
But it was considered a good thing because then people would respect you. And there was some truth to that you don't necessarily have to win the fight for people to go, well, he's not someone to fuck with. He's kind of crazy.
You definitely don't want to lose the lesson of kids standing up for themselves. Like, you don't want to lose the lesson of as soon as someone hurts their feelings, that they immediately need to go to some authority figure to do it. I think it is also important to say to stand up for yourself. I mean, obviously you don't want your kid hitting kids. But.
Here's Kevin in Philly.
Hey, what's up, guys?
Hey.
I think you were saying something earlier, which I thought was really true, is our society portrays racism as, you know, you're 100% a racist if you're even a little bit of a racist. So, I mean, it's like I might tell an off-color joke, but it doesn't necessarily make me a Klansman. Or I may critique a policy of Israel. It doesn't make me a Nazi. But it seems like we always just brand somebody 100% racist, you know, when I think there's so many degrees of it or shades of it that not everyone's a Klansman or a Nazi or...
Well, you know, but see, here's the thing. If you normally have to get around to defending a joke, it means that you didn't deliver it properly, right? So there are people who are skilled. Let's say if you listen to some of the things that Jimmy Norton says, and people go, well, he can get away with it. It's not so much that he's getting away with his humor, but he is funny, and he also gives along something that he realizes that he's saying this for these things, and it's really not his heart. You know, Rickles was the same way, and you know that these are basically good dudes. But if somebody else repeats a Jimmy joke, and they're not as skilled as him, you know, it doesn't land, and then they're blaming the audience. You know, they're like, hey, you know, you people don't get it. You're a bunch of PC assholes. But you're not doing it with the skill that someone else has done it with. That's
very common, that somebody will make a joke like that and immediately say, oh, everyone's too uptight. But it's like, well, it seems like you didn't have that thing, that, like, whatever that is, the timing or the power.
Or being able to see through, to see that person in their delivery, you know whether they mean it or not, you know?
Right.
And I do think that most white people think, hey, black people have a right to even judge us a little harshly. You know what I mean? Now, that has to be a learned thing. We had to be taught that on some level, right? We didn't decide ourselves, our history, the way it is, you know, they probably need to bust our balls a little bit, you know? But, you know, in the same way, Voss or Big J could walk into a black club, play it in a heartbeat, and get big laughs because they show up for that reason.
Yeah, I think you could say the same about jokes about women, or, you know, I know the big thing is rape jokes, like, can a rape joke be funny?
Right.
And I think the difference is a rape joke, of course, can be funny, but if you think that person's a rapist, you're not going to find it pretty funny. Like, that's the idea of saying they're coming at it from a perspective that you know that they're not being, you know, truthful.
I would say it even a little differently. I'd say, can a rape joke not be funny? That's the one that I'd like to find.
I dare you to try to not make me laugh.
Garrison in Wisconsin.
Hey, Ron. Hey, actually, you guys have been kind of swerving back and forth since I got on the phone.
Sure.
And I was going to first bring up, since you kind of wandered around, is I grew up in bumfuck, Wisconsin. Okay, I did not see a black person in person until I was like 16 years old. But we had different words for Brazil nuts and for eeny, meeny, miny, mo.
Right. Yeah.
But it wasn't racially motivated in my mind because I didn't know anybody. It was just words. But you had said before that you went to Milwaukee one time and saw a mixed race couple and thought, like, what is that all about? And your brother had to correct you like you were an idiot.
Yeah, I would have been about 11 years old by the time I had ever seen a mixed race couple, and it was at a carnival. And I actually said, I didn't say anything to them, but I said to my brother, what's the story there?
What's happening?
What's that all about?
Yeah, it just is something. And I was raised around black people, and I didn't know, even in my elementary school and my junior high, people did not date across races. There was some of it by the time I got to high school, and those kids could have ended up in trouble with their families. It was still on that level. I think my mom put it best, where those babies can't live in either world.
They're not going to be accepted by either society.
Not the white world as we know, or the black world, which is just next to our world, and is just a little worse. We're going to break. Barry Crimmins is here, and it's always great to have him in. Anything else we need to plug, Chris? You got your Scope Show. This is our last day before we go on Thanksgiving vacation, but you will hear the Thanksgiving show on Thursday and Friday.
If you'd like to pick up a Scope Bros t-shirt, you go to theinterrobang.com in the upper right corner and click the store button. Double XLs are sold out, so you got to keep hitting that.
He makes it seem like it's the hearts. You got to keep hitting it. You don't hit the double XL and get a chance to get the shirt to come through.
Pressing it.
Yeah, you have to decide whether you're a triple XL or an XL. All right, we will break here. I'm going to remind my staff to prepare a little more. This is the Bennington Show. Legendary Barry Crimmins has stopped in to see us, working the creek in the cave this week. Chris, give us all the details.
Barry Crimmins is in studio. He'll be performing at the Creek in the Cave in Long Island City tonight through Wednesday. Go to creeklic.com. His documentary, Call Me Lucky, directed by Bobcat Goldthwait, is available now on Netflix. Go to barrycrimmins.com for tickets and additional dates. And on Twitter, it's @Crimmins.
Now, who booked Barry on the show?
Dan Perlman.
And who's the executive producer on this show?
I am.
And why hasn't Barry's name appeared on the welcoming next to Mr. Chris Martin today?
Oh,
that was my mistake.
Second time, you know it's important to Barry that he sees his name on that screen.
Flandel Hubin, the Fracasey brothers are here.
You feel like it's somewhat personal.
Yeah, Ernest and Julio Gallo Jr. Yeah, I do. At this point, I do.
Yeah.
Come on, guys.
You know, Chris, you could help. And I'm here for a good cause today.
Oh, you are?
Yes, it's the campaign for holiday trousers. Reach into your chinos and give a little more.
Just a little more.
So that, and really, when people ask what's it about, well, you know, unlike other charities, we don't bother you with the details of what we do with your money. We just let you know that we need it.
Yeah.
And how can you give it to us? Well, you can come to any Barry Crimmins show.
Right.
Like you can come to the Creek in the Cave the next couple of nights, or I'll probably be doing a date in Milwaukee that hasn't been announced yet in the next week or so, and a couple in Chicago. And then I'm going to be in Portland, Maine on December 28th, and Somerville, Mass at Johnny D's on December 29th. And any of those shows, if you just see me there, pay the full ticket price, and then after the show, come up and force extra money on me, and believe me, we will do exactly what needs to be done with that money.
And a handshake palm. You know what I mean? Just like here, I don't want to make a big deal out of this.
You know,
there's some paper
because that is good for their souls.
Yeah.
Give so that others may take.
Right, that's beautiful.
You know, give so that others may take.
Well, I saw a Verizon thing where they were calling it Thanksgiving, and I'm like, they understand what it's about right now.
Well, you know, we may be having a tie-in with them on this soon. And by the way, people can give gifts in kind. Chris, I understand you have some sort of Percocets or something in there. You wouldn't believe how much pain medication this campaign requires. It's just the awful pain that its main recipient is in constantly with just whatever, just give until you hurt because you don't have any left.
And one thing I disagree with the doctors is I think mixing with alcohol is the way to go. I mean, it really
they don't want to tell you.
I told you when I was here before, I wrote the book, Drug Interaction, The Frugal Junkie's Best Friend. And in this day when you need to stretch a buck, you know, pay $7 for a beer, and that beer goes a lot further if you take a couple Percocets or Vicodin.
It really is true. It kicks, as we used to say.
Yeah, that's right.
Here's the kicker that you need.
Right.
Yeah.
And by the way, Ron, I would be remiss to not thank you for being the chairman, tri-state chairman of the campaign for holiday trousers.
Do whatever I can do to help.
Yeah, since the start. I remember her at our very first event. She's a little baby. Look at her, all grown up.
All grown up now.
Grown up.
If you remember, I was carrying around in a papoose at that thing. In
Holiday
my Birkenstocks. I'm just like, I'm taking her everywhere with me now.
Now, I remember we had to take her out of the papoose because we filled it with cash.
Yeah, there was so much money we collected, and we had so much fun with that money over the years.
It's time, and it's time to return to that holiday tradition of giving, and you all can. And if you see me, and also, by the way, if you do give to the campaign for holiday trousers. And by the way, it isn't some cheap crotch joke, so just get away from it.
Yeah.
But if you do give to the campaign for holiday trousers, you become an honorary Barry Crimmins ambassador to the future.
Wow.
Just as soon as I die.
Wow.
Okay. So you'll be my ambassadors to the future. If you outlive me, you become my ambassador to the future with every donation.
Yeah.
To the campaign for holiday trousers.
I love it. The people that want to come out, if you never had the chance to meet Ernest Hemingway years ago, Barry is becoming more and more of that look. You really should be living in Key West.
Well, yeah. It's kind of been, I don't mind dropping by there once in a while.
Well, I
particularly helps with the pain medication. Sometimes it's not.
When you see young Barry Crimmins, who
in here, Chris.
I always thought looked like a closer on any big American League baseball team.
Right.
Ninth inning guy who was ready to hit somebody and then get down to work. Yeah. But the years now I ran into somebody yesterday. I didn't recognize them because they had painted their hair a different color. Yeah. And he goes, "Hey, it's blah, blah, blah." And I go, "Oh, I didn't recognize you. My fault. I didn't recognize you." And I pointed at my head like a moron. And he goes, "Yeah, I colored my hair. You can color your hair too. I'll take you to a place." But it was a very uncomfortable moment, because I like the fact of, first of all, since I didn't think I would live to get any gray hair at all, I love the fact that that is coming in. I remember even being younger, this will, calm me down a little bit. But some guys now despise it, I
don't know why. It's such a good look.
And they look pretty silly sometimes. It's kind of scary.
Yeah.
It's like looking at someone that's been colorized or something like that. Isn't the original? What's going on?
Burt Reynolds still doesn't have gray hair. Yeah, and his beard hair is just so harsh and shoe polished.
Yeah. I would dye the hair. I would dye my hair once I start going gray.
Yeah, you'd be one of those guys. You'd be one of those guys with the jet red hair.
Yeah,
like that.
Black as night. Weird. I wanted black as night.
Just that
crazy.
Weird flat black color that
Elvis
is so
black.
common.
I like that Elvis black.
Bruce Lee black too.
Yeah, right.
Hell yeah. And the Bruce Lee haircut too.
My eyes before a game. But anyway, let's not forget why we're here, Ron.
Right.
In the campaign for holiday trousers. Reach into your chinos and dig a little deeper.
It's beautiful this year. Don't waste your money on a Scope Pro shirt the way Chris Stanley.
Silly.
It's a good one.
And by where I guess I got one. Here's one here. No. Yes, I'm so glad you've exiled him. It's so much pleasant.
Well, he can't do his full work because your wing is so bad, right?
Yeah, my
How did you do that? Scoping?
My bum arm.
It's a scope injury.
He was hitting the heart over and over, and finally his shoulder gave out.
It was a scoping injury?
It's an old scoping industry from 2015.
Industry, he just yells out. You perk tongue.
Injury.
3 years ago, I slipped in the street.
In kind donations to the campaign and we know we're going to put the arm on Chris for.
That would be fantastic.
Oh, God, yes.
You don't have headphones on. There's no sound coming out of them.
You just adjust it right here.
I understand. There you go. Look at that.
I'm gonna do this for 2016. I'm gonna have somebody bring in and assist our people to be able to sit down properly. Yesterday we had a gentleman in here who's suffering from Parkinson's disease, and he was just completely left alone.
Yes, he was. So someone as part of the team should have been assisting him. And I should have directed them to do so.
Yes, there you go.
Yeah.
As you're looking around. Yeah.
God, you just look so much worse every time I see you.
Isn't it funny?
It's really just straight down the chute, man.
Yeah.
I thought the bandana was really improving things.
I thought it looks good.
I think he looks.
Bandana is really, yeah.
I think he looks like what I would call real life Rambo, like with the guy. What Rambo really looked like if he would have went to his house.
Just like, deliberate Malamars for Mr. Rambo. So, he is well, he's perfect for New York because he's filmy, and this is like the film capital.
Yeah, it is kind of filmy.
There's a film over. You could just have full employment in this town. They just start removing the film from it. Look at that stain. Babe Ruth left that there.
Yeah,
it's very filmy, and you're a filmy creature, Chris.
Yeah,
kind of dirty. You always look a little dirty. I wouldn't want to touch your skin for any reason.
It's greasy. There's a lot of grease that builds up towards my head.
I was going to say iguana skin, but that might not be the right thing.
No,
you know where I'm going.
It's shinier, though.
Yeah, it's shinier.
Shiny iguana.
Yeah. But the scope Chris did when he was riding home in a cab at 5:30 in the morning, filled with fucking regret and disease, the illness factor. And I'm saying this as a person in recovery. You fucking helped me so much, Chris, because I don't need to see you at 8:30 at night when you're having a ball. Yeah. That's not good for me. That's like, I can do that, But to see you at 5:30 and identify immediately. Guys, I don't know. I think I'm chasing the wrong thing. That was my favorite fucking line you've ever had.
The dark comedy of that.
Yeah.
He's a cautionary tale.
The other scary thing is how many people we knew who were still up 5:30 in the morning that were talking to him.
It's pretty weird.
He's like, Lily's here.
Oh, Paul Morrissey, what are you doing up this time? Oh, wait, you're on the West Coast. But still, it's still late for the West Coast.
Tell people, since you won't write his name up on the board, at least let people know where you can see Barry.
Barry Crimmins is in studio. He's performing tonight and tomorrow at the Creek in the Cave in Long Island City. Go to creeklic.com for tickets. He'll also be at Blue in Portland, Maine, Saturday, December 28th, and Johnny D's in Somerville, Massachusetts, Sunday, December 29th.
No. You have the wrong dates. It's Monday, the 28th, and Tuesday, the 29th. I probably gave that to you wrong.
Well, we checked on it.
I've been piling on him.
Yeah,
so much
I know. But he loves it. That's his thing because he doesn't have a family.
Yeah,
so he needs a couple uncles who are like, "What are you doing with your life?"
He might just be the kind of person who gets some help from the campaign for.
He could be.
Yes. He could
want pants.
We don't go into those details, and you don't have to worry about messy tax breaks or anything with this. Just give so that others may take.
I don't know what it is, but there's something I just trust about that.
I do too.
Yeah.
And I want to just bring up Chris Stanley, and I don't want to brag about it, but normally he's the kind of guy who gets his teeth pulled at a barber shop. So any help at all. You live like it's the Old West, Chris. You really do.
Whiskey's the only aesthetic I've ever known.
Yeah. Well, once in a while they hit you in the head with a rock, too.
Yeah.
So go to barrycrimmins.com for all dates and to purchase tickets. And at Crimmins on Twitter.
Are you doing a New Year's Eve gig this year?
No, I've had this smart forever. I always do a show between Christmas and New Year's, and it's my year-end show. And,
right.
And you get New Year's Eve money, but you don't have to go out with idiots.
Right.
And plus, you can't satisfy a New Year's Eve crowd. They're like, our whole year sucked, but we're making up for it tonight by paying extra to get some shitty champagne at midnight.
Yeah.
On stage with
yeah.
It's like Halloween, St. Patrick's Day, New Year's Eve.
Yeah.
Like the audience is the show. Don't even try to, go.
Amateur night.
That doesn't mean I'm not going to drink. I'm not going to let amateurs keep me from
but in your own spot.
Select area.
But that's a night that the audience doesn't really want to hear about Contras.
No.
So it's
exactly.
it's not exactly a Crimmins audience.
But it's a night like that show at Johnny D's, and Johnny D's is a great old rock and various kinds of music club, and they're going out of business because they want to, because they've just done it for a long time. It's hard to run a bar. And so I'm going in to do, my first holiday show in Boston, which I did for, 15 or 20 years, quite a while. And I'm going to do it at Johnny D's on the 29th. And I'm really looking forward to that show. I've got a couple of surprises planned.
Really? That's great. Nice. That's fantastic.
And, who knows? We could have who knows? Maybe we'll get the tri-state chairman of
Who knows? I'll come in with a giant check.
Yeah,
that would be presenting a giant check to
Can I
everyone.
get back in the papoose? That's what I'm wondering.
Jerry, that's why we're here at a normal corp are giving you this giant check before any link can be made between what we deposit in our lakes and rivers and this dreaded disease.
Jerry, we here at 7-Eleven who believe so much. And then Jerry would take the giant check. Lady, look at this check. It's so big.
Very nice to me. I met him a couple times.
Is that right?
Very, very nice to me.
Yeah.
And fellow friar, so I have to speak well.
Are you a friar?
Yeah, I'm the youngest friar. I'm the new guy friar.
I've been over to the club a couple times, and you were not wrong. Where you were and there are people still telling Milton Berle stories to this day, and I'm like, do you know how many people have no idea who Milton Berle is, let alone think that he's interesting? But it's there's a lot of non-comedy people that belong to the Friars too, which is always kind of surprising.
Yeah,
marketing people and stuff like that.
As a new member, I have to be polite.
You have to be polite. Yeah.
I mean, I feel I'm obliged, and I know for some reason I can't. Something's happening to me, and I don't think I'll be okay until you make a donation to the campaign for holiday trousers. Now listen, folks, the next 2 nights, we want to fill up the creek and the cave for the campaign for holiday trousers. Show your spirit, get out of your own way, reach deep into your chinos, and then reach a little deeper.
Go to creeklic.com for tickets and barrycrimmins.com for all additional dates. He'll be in Blue in Portland, Maine, Monday, December 28th, and Giant D's in Somerville, Massachusetts, Tuesday, December 29th. Also, Barry's documentary, Call Me Lucky, directed by Bobcat Goldthwait, is available now on Netflix.
Wait, Creek LIC?
Creeklic.com.
What's that even mean?
Long Island City.
Long Island City.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I was trying to end the cave with that. I couldn't figure it out.
And Creek LIC.
It sounds like instructions from Bin Laden or something. The creek and the cave.
Yeah. Well, Long Island City has become an it spot.
Yeah.
Over the last couple of years, yeah.
It is hot shit.
By that, we mean more white people. More young white people. Yeah.
A lot of high rises. There's a dozen of them now.
I was surprised. There's apparently a couple of kids trying to do comedy in this town.
There's a couple young people that never made their friends laugh who thought, why not get out there?
I have met a few of them this week where it's just like, well, who the fuck ever gave you the idea?
Yeah.
On what planet is it all they talk about is where the gigs, but I mean, they're not, I've hung around with you guys for 12 minutes and no one has made me even smile. But
Why do you think that happened?
But that's not true. Then there's some really funny ones.
Well, that's the thing, as a lot of times I think people who like comedy and they admire comedy think to themselves, I'll just do it because I like it so much. But
and
you should
plus,
work.
when they see people do it that know how to do it, you make it look.
Nothing
easy.
could look easier. Right? Nothing could look easier than look at Louis C.K. You know what I mean? And now here's what always kills me because of
saw Lou last night. By the way.
Because they'll be like, I saw Louis, so I'll just casually go up, lean against the wall, and think of some things, and you're like, dude, you have no idea.
All right.
What he's put into this point.
By the way, that's the hardest working person in the world.
Yes, and yet no one ever catches him working because he does it in a T-shirt. They're like,
Right, so they get this idea that they can hop up and have a conversation and it'd be a funny...
Right.
Funny.
But, I there are times that people have said to me, and these are comics that are even, established. They'll go, I want to do a show like Louis done, where I kind of just go out there and do it. You're like, dude, you realize that he's writing, directing, fucking casting, and he's fixing the cameras. You don't realize not just the level and 10 different talents.
Right.
It takes to look that casual about it. But they all went, I want to do, and now you've seen comics do that type of show, and it never works in the same way.
Yeah.
Never. You really need... Louis on his show has replaced 30 people if you were to do this in Hollywood.
Yeah, really. And, as a leftist, I'm a little upset. He's ruined all those good American jobs.
All those good American jobs are gone now because of him.
They're out riding around on his boat now. But there's nobody works harder than him.
Did you see him at
you know, I get away with it. I go like, well, I'm more of a jazz act. You know, I just get out there, you know, kind of call it a little infrastructure, but you can't have a game, you can't abandon the game plan until you have one. So I got a little idea what I'm going to do.
Right.
And we'll surf off, on which, you know, somebody like Louis said, you know, hey, you should work on that a little more. It's like, oh, shit. And it's something I made up that night.
Right.
Like, I wasn't even going to write it down and do it tomorrow. And Louis would be there. I mean, you know, he's got every time I see he's got a little notebook. As soon as he thinks,
boom, it's down.
Yeah.
Well, where did you see him last night? Was it in a club or?
He was at my show.
That's cool. Did he jump up at all, or?
No, he just came to see. He wouldn't want to try to.
But then people were like mumbling, like, "Hey, let's
no, I mean, he certainly was welcome to, but he just was. You know, we're all friends.
Well, for those who, you know, may want to hear it, Barry, of course, and I've always given credit for this, that there's a Boston scene and a Boston attitude that goes right up to Bill Burr and Patrice O'Neill, guys that didn't even necessarily work with Barry, but the people that Barry worked with them. But if you were to take it back to Patient Zero, it was the original stuff that was done in Boston. It still keeps great comics coming out of there.
Yeah. Well, and you know, it is also where the entire campaign for Holiday Trousers.
It is.
Right. That's where it was born, really.
That's where it started.
Yeah, that's right. The original chinos are right there.
And, you know, we're looking at the tote board. It's not moving at all. I really expected a lot more calls.
I know.
Yeah.
Well, we do have Chris running the tote board, so that might be why there's
that could be going into his trousers.
Yeah.
Look, you know a rapper's here because look how many people they bring along, all going in. Now, Barry shows up by himself, but if he was a rapper, we'd have to find a place for 92 guys.
Yeah.
I can't believe how big that entourage was.
I can't see the end of the line.
Well, that studio they're going
that's
into.
the opposite of Louis right there. That guy's giving it, you know.
Yeah, they're all getting paid. Now, the thing is, no one. And the studio that they're going into is smaller than the one we're in now.
It costs more money for them to come here than it costs Goldthwait to make Call Me Lucky.
Yeah, it's true. But no one can say, hey, guys, there's too many people, or else the bullets start flying. So you have to be very careful.
I'm not going to get involved in this. I love all kinds of music. People come to my house, what do you want to listen to? Anything but rap. And that's so okay, I put on Johnny Guitar Watson for like 4 hours. How do you like that? Yeah, that's not rap.
But do you like you say you like any kind of music? Bluegrass.
Oh, I mean, you can, a little taste of it. It's like reggae, Zydeco, is the song ever going to end? I don't know if it'll ever end. The song's not going to end. The song is not going to end.
Zydeco, I always think I love when I'm in New Orleans.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But I don't know if it plays outside of that, you know?
Yeah.
And I think that's somewhat even true of rap music.
It doesn't, Zydeco doesn't travel well, and it shouldn't be allowed to. You know?
Yeah, right. There was always a thing, because I worked in radio, somebody would come back from the Caribbean, thinking they had a hit song.
Yeah.
Listen, you guys, we just, they still have the one cornrow in their hair, and they're really tan. And you're like, well, if I was laying next to a pool and I was all fucked up on rum, and I didn't have anything to do for 2 weeks, this would be a hit.
Right.
But it doesn't play here.
I like the idea that it's like a new sound to them.
Yeah.
I've just discovered this new sound.
Yeah.
That's why I listen to GPS, so I get to the source.
It is interesting. That's all Gail. And do you even know what city we're going to next?
We do know, but I don't think we have announced officially. I don't know if you want to announce that yet.
Well, is there a tie-in with the campaign for Holiday Trousers?
It is. It's actually brought to us by that. Okay, so this is interesting. It's going to be Scranton, Pennsylvania. Now, it's a lot more polka music than you guys are used to.
The Pennsylvania polka.
I was just the guy that went, hey! That's it. Hey!
Maybe the most joyful of all musicians.
Yes.
Yep. It's like
it's weird.
With a strap on it. There's like dandruff all over the strap.
It would always be fun to figure out what was the last generation that was forced to play the accordion. There was a time in this country where that was the instrument.
It recently struck me.
Yeah.
I figured out something. You know why they give kids in marching band scholarships because they're perfect. They know they're going to be great corporate employees.
Right.
Because they will humiliate themselves on cue. They've already shown, go out there with this tuba and, do that, and you will do that. Well, make this rock and roll song a really sour thing that scares children, and they do it.
Yeah.
And so, the corporations know there's your middle managers of tomorrow.
They are perfect I am part of the greater good here.
Yeah.
And we're all moving in lockstep. I don't know how they do it. If you ever go and watch that done where they're, creating things.
Yeah. Ohio State's crazy.
It's madness. It's madness.
I lived across the street from St. Edward's High School in Cleveland, and the marching band director there was just a slave driver. So they practiced just around, and I was on the fourth floor, and there's this. It's just a huge, like the gym was there, so it was this huge, several stories of just bricks, and it's bouncing off that. And they would play, what was the, You Really Got Me, but really sour version of, it was like slow, like white guys, step behind NBA slate, and that song, so it's just like, and let's try it again. Oh no. They would have the drummers come out and just practice for 2 hours before everybody else, just to break, your spirit.
But you're right. They worked harder than any sport to try to pull that thing together. And the band director was as close as we could get to Hitler in the United States of America. Yeah. He would threaten the children, and he would demand more than they could do.
Ohio State. That was just,
Look who's on the phone here. It's Jeffrey Gurian. Jeffrey, how are you, buddy?
Great, Ronnie. How you doing? How's everybody over there?
Hi, Jeffrey.
Happy Thanksgiving to you, Jeff.
Thanksgiving to you guys, too. I'm sure you've talked about it a million times, but I got to tell you how good it looked to see your name on the marquee on Broadway.
It was very, very nice. Yeah, thank you.
I think you must consider doing Bennington on Broadway.
I would like to, but first on ice. I'm telling Bennington on ice. And it'll be the first on ice show that plays more hockey, I think, than they normally do.
An actual penalty box.
Yeah. I mean, I've been to a lot of those on ice shows. No one's ever shooting from the blue line. Let's make it happen. Now, Jeffrey, where are you spending your Jewish Thanksgiving this year?
Oh, my Jewish Thanksgiving. Well, I'm going to wind up seeing my family, but first I go and I do this thing every year. There's a church in the city, and I go serve food to people, to homeless people. I do that for a couple of hours, and then I'm going to ride up to the country to see my kids and spend a couple of days with them, and that's going to be awesome.
Could be something you'd like to get into.
I think it's important that the homeless people eat once a year.
Yeah, I know.
Well, there's 2 days that we worried, hey, did you eat today?
Exactly.
There's 2 days, and they probably think of food as turkey now. That's the only food that we ever had now. Right. No one ever says it's 4th of July, here's some ribs and some burgers.
Exactly.
It's always turkey.
Always turkey, right? And only that once a year we eat turkey. It's a crazy thing, right? Your party was amazing, though, by the way.
Well, we fed the homeful people.
You did. You fed everybody.
Yeah. Somebody said that you were going up with each table, too, Jeffrey. Is that true?
That I was going up with... Yeah, right. Yeah, because I eat so much. I couldn't get enough. I
like a nosh.
Packed it in. There was hardly anything left for anyone else by the time I was finished. It was amazing. But it was great to see so many loyal fans, and it was a crazy week in comedy, as you know. There were so many things going on.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of TV stuff. Big J was out there doing his thing, and, what's your fucking deal?
Well, he also he shot another show the same night. He did two TV shows.
Right, with Judd Apatow, because Judd and Pete Holmes were shooting their show Crashing at the Village Underground. So Jay had to run back and forth on the last night of his taping. Christine was telling me, she's one of the exec producers, that he had to run from the bitter end over to the Village Underground and back again all night. They were doing that. Judd let him do that, which was really cool. And it was really exciting watching Judd Apatow direct scenes, because I had never seen that before. And he yells out every so often. He comes up with an idea for a line for somebody to do, and it's amazing. I told him it's like he's channeling the comedy gods. All of a sudden he gets an inspiration. He's like, try this. And they just do it, and it worked great. It was really, really a fun show. The scene that I saw was with Rachel Feinstein and Keith Robinson and Pete Holmes, of course, because he created the show. You know, it's about a comic who is going through a breakup, I believe, and he's crashing on other comic couches.
It's actually Pete's story. That's why Jay and all those guys, the people whose couches that he crashed on, he's actually gone back and booked those guys to be his friends on the show.
That's great.
Yeah.
How awesome.
Yeah.
How awesome.
That's what I want. I want an idea that I don't have to invent myself. It just actually happened, you know?
Well, you got plenty of stories to choose from. Look at your past, man. You have so much going on. You've done so many things.
None of them well, though, Jeffrey. None of them well.
But I like Bennington on Broadway. I could just see you. I don't know about the ice thing. I wasn't thinking of that.
I think you're making a huge mistake, Jeffrey.
You do? Yeah. I should not go in that direction.
Yeah.
Well, and then, they're also shooting the Patrice O'Neill documentary this week, and I went and I did my interview yesterday, and that was really incredible.
How long was your interview?
About 40 minutes.
I wonder how long it'll be in the movie. Because that's what they do. You know this because you just did
I
a
have
doc.
a little idea about that.
Yeah.
You're good for 8 seconds.
Yeah.
5 to 8, but it was really nice.
Did anyone get cut out of your documentary?
God.
Yeah.
You know, that's why I kept saying, and I knew, right from the start, I go, it's just about my life. It's Goldthwait's movie. That's all I said. And I directed them to people, and then I walked away. I didn't hang around. Good luck.
Yeah.
It's but so if there's credit for the movie, it goes to him. If there's blame for the movie, it goes to him.
That's smart. That's smart. But so people are always crushed when they're cut out of something like that.
Oh, I mean, and I've had to sit through the movie with people, or just see them. Oh, I didn't know they were here. And he's not in it, and I haven't told them. It's just like,
that's horrible. Oh, man.
It's always funny, too, like, even if you give the newspaper something and you talk to some woman for like an hour and you get all pumped up about it, and then you just see yourself as an and.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Right.
It was good, said Bennington. And you're like, that's it? Because you're like, man, if this thing gets out, people will see how smart I am.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear what you said. It's what?
I'm just doing a show, Jeffrey.
It's so hard when if they don't tell you that you're cut out and you go there expecting to see yourself and you're waiting and you have to keep that smile going and then you're not there. It's like, ooh.
Well, you were cut out of a documentary about a book that you wrote.
Was I? See, you remember more than I do. I tend to let those things go. Was I cut out?
Yes, you were not in the documentary. Well, it was about the comedy club on the Upper East Side.
They made a book called Satiristas about American political comics. I didn't make it. I'm not in it.
You're not in it.
I didn't get in it.
The only person.
Book.
I'm sorry, what?
That was Paul Prevenda's book.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
I know whose book it was. I love Paul, and he can have his book.
All right, Jeffrey, thank you so much, my friend.
You're very welcome. Happy Thanksgiving to everybody.
You too, man. Take care.
Bye, Jeffrey.
And don't forget the campaign for holiday trousers.
Make sure you're out there for that, all right, Jeffrey?
Absolutely. And me and Chris got to hang out as soon as his arm gets better. We got to do some periscoping.
Oh, yeah, you were going to do that, Chris.
We're going to scope. Once this fucking arm is fixed, it's on. I'm jumping around with Jeffrey Gurian.
We were going to scope this week, too, bro.
We're going to scope.
Yeah, when?
We'll scope tonight. I'm going to go to the Creek in the Cave to see your show. CreekLIC.com. Barry will be performing at the Creek in the Cave in Long Island City through Wednesday. Go to CreekLIC.com for tickets.
Cash and pain medication.
Bring lots of perks. Bring fucking hard cash. And also, Barry Crimmins will be at Blue in Portland, Maine, Monday, December 28th. And he'll be at Johnny D's in Somerville, Massachusetts, Tuesday, December 29th.
And I think I'm going to announce, I think I'm probably going to do something at Frank's power plant in Milwaukee. I haven't planned it, but they like me so much that sometime right after Thanksgiving,
that'd be
I'll
cool.
probably do Frank's power plant, which is this little punk, crazy, and also metal joint. So it's humorous.
I think, first of all, let's say this. Chris Stanley doesn't go out to see anyone.
That's right.
He doesn't.
You're the anti-Gurian, but you're going out tonight to Barry's show.
Usually I just stick around instead of jump around.
Keep sticking around.
Yeah, he just sticks around.
Is he going to leave?
Yeah.
I'll be at the Creek in the Cave tonight.
Nice.
Now, what show are you going to, Chris?
The 7 p.m. show. I'll be at the 7 p.m. show
All right,
tonight.
so you'll be periscoping in between shows?
In between shows, yes.
That's very exciting.
Look, I'm a scope bro. This is for the scope bros. I want to scope Barry Crimmins.
Now, do you know what you're going to be talking to Barry about? What you're going to be doing?
Not sure. I'm going to.
I believe we'll be talking about the campaign for holiday trousers.
There's going to be pants talk. There's going to be smoking. It's going to be a smoking with Chris with special guest Barry Crimmins.
That's okay. Good.
All right, Barry Crimmins, so great to see you again, my friend.
Thank you very much for having me, Ron, and everybody, and Mr. Perlman, who was hilarious at my show last night.
You know, Dan Perlman. Dan, you performed in front of Louis? Were you at that show?
Yeah, that is what happened. Yeah.
Whoa! Cool.
He's. If stage time was a cobra, he's a mongoose.
It is true.
Yeah.
It is true.
And a big contributor to the campaign for holiday trousers. Well, he's made a pledge.
You know what? It's great to see the young people involved.
Yeah.
You know,
vote.
because
Rock
there's
the
always
vote.
Yeah. I mean, you know, this is the fucking 70s, so it's the me generation.
Sure.
You know, but I'm saying it. I hope. I'm putting together something I call the Us Festival.
Yeah.
And I really hope it shows that we're all in this together.
We hold hands across the country and then just walk in and then pull everybody one at a time into the Us Festival.
I know this. In 2016, and this is my hand to God, I'm going to get a Chinese or Chinese-American best friend. That is what I'm going for. Because there's a lot of them.
You're so progressive.
I don't have one, and I need it to fill out my set.
Yeah.
I do very good.
That's going to be a great sit-down.
We all of us together.
Ron and Lon.
Yeah, it's going to be called. It's basically called. Hey, how did they become friends?
Yeah.
And it's just about a bunch of different races, and we're all together. Are you performing tonight, Dan?
No, I won't. I won't be at the Creek tonight. I have some other spots elsewhere, but I'll be there Wednesday night just to hang out and support Barry.
Yeah. That's a big one, too. And that's probably the biggest night of the year for the campaign for holiday trousers.
When everyone gets together for that, you know, and there's a VIP, you know, there's a gold table.
And you can buy your way in.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I mean, the only thing that makes them VIP is the money that they spend.
Platinum circle.
They're not even that interesting, except for the fact that they've given big money to this. All right, we're going to take a break. Always great to have you here,
Thank
Barry.
you for
Crimmins.
having me. Gail, Ron.
Yeah.
Stanley. Perlman, love you. And
when we come back from this break, and it's a tough thing to announce at Thanksgiving, but one of us will no longer be with the show. As you know, it's been a big year for Chris Stanley. Gail's got a lot of excitement about her. A lot of people have been calling. Joe and Dan Perlman, fresh to the industry, and yet a lot of folks are talking about them. Someone has plunked away a member of this team. And I also want to say this. Are these guys ready to go on without me? There's a chance that it's me. And Barry, you predicted that first, that the last thing that these young people need is Bennington in there.
now the coup is,
it's already happened. People don't want to hear my...
But since, you've been a lot safer spot since you've taken the tri-state chairmanship.
Oh, yeah. But a lot of people don't like all my Fred Sanford fucking name checks that I do, Or when we start talking about rock and roll and I bring up Chicago. They're like, I don't know if that works. We'll be right back with a major announcement. Someone is leaving the team, and like everything else, you're either beat in and then you're beat out. So there will be a beatdown as we could say goodbye to it. But like any good mystery, no one is safe. We're right back. This is Bennington. Welcome back to the Bennington Show. This is the last show before the Thanksgiving break. We hope you tune in for the big Thanksgiving show that we're running on Thanksgiving and Friday, Black Friday. It's the Bennington Family Thanksgiving, and it surely felt like a family. Today is a bittersweet day for us because even though we just started this show less than 6 months ago, we're going to be saying goodbye to one of the members. As I said, there's been a lot of attention paid once this show started taking off. So it's a good thing when someone gets an opportunity to move on, but it's also a sad thing because you're not going to see that person on a daily basis. And it lets the other people of the show know that They're not that much in demand. So it's very, very difficult and yet joyful to say goodbye on a day like this.
I am Gail Bennington, and I'm leaving the Bennington Show.
Well, we love you so much, Gail, and I'm so proud of you. And I'm so glad that I get the chance to know you this year. It was very, very interesting.
I'm Joey Jojo Bennington, and I am leaving the show.
Oh! Joe, we never even got around to hearing your rap songs.
I know.
You know, I love the puns and all the fun that you brought to this.
Thank you.
So sad.
I'm Chris Stanley Bennington, and I'm leaving the show.
Yay.
What?
I'm Dan Perlman Bennington, and I'm leaving the show.
Oh, and if you just worked with Barry Crimmins last night, Louis was at the show and told Barry, who is that kid? I really like him, and I want to put him in my show playing my son. I am Ron Bennington, and I am staying with the show much against my family's wishes. I plan on riding out radio until I'm dead, and then probably still doing it for a year and a half, 2 years after that. And it would be no worse than some of the work I've done in the past. So one of these people is leaving the show. So stand up. This is like a tell the truth. Stand up. And remember, to tell the truth, you have to act like you're getting up even when you're not for a little bit, and then finally stand up. Chris, you stay sitting down. Matter of fact, put your feet up.
Oh.
There's not another show in the world that wants you. Not another paying show. If you are leaving the show, please stand up. Gail, Joey. It's going to be Dan Perlman, everybody. Yeah. Dan Perlman with us since April, was it, Dan, or May?
Yeah, April, yeah.
And I know it took a while for you to get in, but anybody who's been following along knows that since the Montreal Comedy Festival, there's been a lot of attention on our Dan and a project that you've done called what?
That's My Bus.
That's My Bus. And it's about a bus driver and his bus. And it's a cartoon, but not, I wouldn't say for children, right? This is...
No, for adults. Half-hour animated series. Yeah.
No, I forgot the word cartoon as an insult.
No, it's fine. You can say doodle. I don't know.
But you said it's okay if one says it about themselves. Like,
you're right.
If you make those things, you can call yourself or your friends cartoons. But for us, it's the C word.
That's their word.
They're reclaiming it.
Right. Yeah. Well, this has been very, very exciting. Now, here's the thing that we, discussed is this is far too soon for this to happen for Dan. He's on a fantastic trajectory towards having an established career. He works with us here every day. He does the clubs every single day, every week. He improves his stature in the business. I mean, how long ago were you interning for me? You weren't even doing stand-up at all.
That was the first semester 2012.
Okay.
So early 2012, yeah.
So it was just about the time that you started, right after that.
Right after is when I started full-time, like every night.
Yeah. And then he came back and said, I'm doing stand-up now. Can I come in and plug some gigs? So we said, sure. But and then oddly, he called me right before this position. And it was very weird because no one knew about it. But Dan is like, hey, if anything ever opens up, I'd be happy to. I was like literally at the time to do that. So we brought him in. And, obviously he's done great for us, and he and Joe became best buddies, and he hasn't, told me too many things about Chris. He and Gail have great chemistry together and are real pals. And so when this thing hit in Montreal, we went crazy that day.
Batshit.
Yeah. And when I say we, I mean me and Chris. Dan did not. Joe had to tell us that Dan got this. And me and Chris leapt on him like we were. And like even that night, I was tossing and turning like, what is this going to mean? There's got a big show coming. So you're going to get a fancy car for this. You know? So, but it's taken since then. And you were like, well, this was probably the end of it. We won an award. So what? But by the time you got back to New York, you had several networks and management, production companies. Interested.
Yeah, so there were all these meetings and all this talk, and this is my first time going through all that, so you don't know how much is just bullshit and how much is real. But then there was one network that was very actively interested, and it took a while to finalize, but they ordered a pilot where I'll be writing and co-executive producing it.
It's really incredibly exciting. And I remember when this started coming up, Dan came to me and said, what do you think? And I'm like, well, this is probably the worst thing that could ever happen to you. And yes, you have to do it. You know what I mean? But it is not, you know what I mean? It is not where you should be at this point. It happened a little early for him.
Yes.
But I also think that he has a very level head about him. You and I were discussing him the other night, Gail.
Yeah, it's amazing, the focus and the drive that you have. It's incredible. And, I think no matter what happens with this, you've already set the path. Like I believe so much in this dude. So.
Well, this is the thing. Barry Crimmins, checked in with Dan and said, hey, I got this thing. Would you open for me? That should be the biggest thing that happens to Dan this year. You know what I mean? And by the way, my other friend Louis C.K. is here, and he'll see your set. That's the stuff that should be explosive for Dan, not you are the creator and writer of a network TV show. Now, the network did not want us to say where you were going because they do their own PR work when they want to.
Yes. They didn't want this to be the big announcement.
But yeah, they'll formally.
I don't think anybody will be mad at me for saying that it's ESPN.
Interesting.
Worldwide leader in bus shows.
But a lot of times you want to break from the sports and watch a nice cartoon for yourself. It's very, very exciting, and it's cool. But you know who else is like Apatow had stuff like this happen when he was younger, and there's a couple of guys that got thrown into that mix. Now, do you know if they're going to move you to LA or?
I mean, I'm going out there first week of December to meet with some of these executive people and talk about casting stuff and, different showrunners or writers could work with. So all those formalities. But I mean, I'd like to do as much as I can here just because I'm from here and I love doing stand up here. And I feel like, this is home. This is where my
And it
home
also is a New York show that you wrote.
Right.
So you want to know, I'm sure you're taking more buses than you ever have been in the past, just watching everyone.
Just finding ones that are willing to talk. But
when you go out to LA, get pictures of movie stars. We're going to give you an Instamatic camera, and even if you don't get the movie stars, get pictures of their homes because I love to see where they live.
Them at the airport with their luggage and stuff.
Well, this will be the last time that you can do that. They're getting their own thing,
their own terminal.
And just for an extra $1,800, you get to have your own terminal.
That's it?
Wow.
Per ticket.
That's got to be a weird, because there's got to be people who consider themselves celebrities, but they're not famous enough for the terminal. So I wonder what the threshold is if they go by
$1,800 is the threshold. I'm sure if the fucking weatherman from Omaha wants to pay $1,800, he's in.
You're there with Jennifer Lawrence.
Yeah. But this is exciting. And Joe, it shows you what could happen to you if you work harder. Chris.
Yeah.
It could shows you what could have happened to you if you would have worked hard.
Oh.
I mean, the window is shut for you.
Hey, this Periscope thing's blowing up right now.
Vice correspondent.
And I'm a vice correspondent.
We've been told not to say that on this show.
Oh.
But it's...
Nice.
I mean,
Triggers.
yeah, it's all nuts. I agree that it happened. I did not expect this to happen. I wrote this thing for fun. You know what I mean? I was just dicking around and had this stupid idea in a coffee shop and wrote the thing just because, I don't know, I'd never written like a half-hour thing before, and it just kept going further. And even when we went up to Montreal, I didn't expect... I thought, oh, this is a cool experience. I've never formally pitched a show before.
Oh, yeah.
Like, I didn't... And then to win and then to have it keep going further and further. This was never like the goal in any way.
Right.
But it's crazy that it's happening. And, you know, I mean, at the end of the day, I just wanted to be like what I've wanted since I was like, 10, 11, just to be a stand-up who makes things,
Right.
And it's cool. It's very...
Well, you're also of a generation of a stand-up who now just doesn't focus on stand-up. There's just tons of people who have their, thumbs. And I mean, Bob's Burgers is just about an almost all stand-up show.
Absolutely.
And none of those, those guys are working just as hard as if they didn't have that show. On their outside of that show stuff. Now, you've got the half hour written. Are you happy with it, or you plan on tweaking that a little bit?
We're going to tweak it a little bit. Like, the half hour was part of the thing that they picked up, but we're focusing with them of because we wrote 2 15-minute stories, so we're going to focus on the first one and kind of
expand it a little bit.
Tweak it and rope some things in. But, yeah, I don't know, but it's exciting and I'll learn a lot there.
It takes place in New York, right?
It takes place in New York, yes.
I'm working, and I know that you're always looking for ethnic characters. I'm working on a guy. His name is Baba Ganesh, and that's you know what I mean.
That's pretty good.
Sign him,
Is that good?
Black guy?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think it'll be exciting and work for your show. For 2 reasons. Number 1, ISIS is so hot right now.
True.
This is very topical.
Right?
It's topical.
Trending. It's got a trend.
And the Food Network has got everybody talking about food.
Yeah.
And ISIS.
Yeah.
The Baba Ganoush, though. It's pretty good.
Jump
and
on
I know
the
Aziz likes when people who aren't Indian, you know what I mean?
He likes it.
Yeah, take a shortcut, make a couple noises.
He prefers it, actually.
He wants TV whitewash.
I love the idea of that,
too
too.
colorful right now.
Because white people can play anything.
We're the best.
Thank you.
And he can just keep doing that.
And by the way, Chris can get T-shirt deals for us.
You want a T-shirt, bro?
Yeah.
I want one.
He is the scope of Pope.
Well, they go to theinterrorbank.com. There's a store button. You click on it.
Why are you going to be a dick?
What?
By the way, did you ever get around apologizing to the person you hurt yesterday?
Yes, I called them and said, hey, bro, I apologize for making this feel weird.
What did he say back to you?
He was very polite. He was like, okay. Or he was just like, well, I had to go cut that podcast, so he kept that lie up.
I know, because first he said yes.
Again, you're calling him a liar.
He said, I don't even want you here. And he throws up his things and says, I've got to go. I tried to stop him. He goes, but I have a podcast to do. I'm like, dude. But it's always funny when you see the sensitive New York comic.
Surprised,
Yeah.
Didn't see that one coming.
Especially when they put up the tough exterior.
Oh, yeah.
And then you talk.
Yeah, well, you have
Talking
a
for 5
character,
minutes.
that's tough. So, Gail, are you going to miss Dan, the man pro man?
I am going to miss Dan so much, but I'm so excited for him.
Yeah, we all are.
And, I don't know if you need any, paper boy but I could send
What's
you
your paper boy?
Extra, extra, read all about it. Right?
He needs the paper. This guy needs the paper. Oh, that's
This
huge.
is the first episode.
Oh, this is just kicking things off.
And if you guys pay by the word, I could probably talk even longer.
Yeah.
I don't know how that works in cartoons.
No, it's word. It's
great.
It's by the accent.
But we're we're crazy excited for you, dude. Seriously.
Thank you. And yeah, I mean, I'm gonna miss coming in every day. And like you said, it's only been like 6-7 months.
Yeah, but you helped launch this thing. I mean, this is a very big part. And like we said, what you've done on the air is great, but off the air, that contest that you went out and found those fucking comics. So you guys, I am so proud of how crazy the Thanksgiving show is that I might even just tell my family to just sit around the radio and listen to it.
You're going to love it.
That was the most fun thing. And I was talking to Gail a little bit about this, but just talking to the listeners afterwards, just how, I guess what you were talking about, but just what an intimate connection you have with them that you don't even realize, because to us we're just talking. But like some of the listeners, they were asking about like, hey, what was the second underrated comedy movie that you mentioned the other day? I was like, oh, Trouble with Harry. And they were like, oh, right. There was like, and he's like, and Ron said he hadn't seen that one. That must have felt so cool to mention a movie that Ron didn't know about. And it was cool because in my head, when I mentioned that, I was like, oh, that's cool. I hadn't heard of that one. But that's like how close the listeners.
But I just know I'm not just some Rain Man who watches movies constantly. I mean, I do.
I know
movies.
I know, but this is the closeness that everyone.
I know it's really, really fun.
It was wild. Listening that intently and stuff, and to get to meet them and talk to them was.
Well, that's been great about doing this show because, you know, a lot of people didn't even know they had kids, let alone that, you know, Gail was ready to do radio. A lot of people didn't know that Joe is Puerto Rican. People obviously assume that Chris's shoulders both worked. But you get, you know, I don't think there's anything as intimate in show business as radio, because it goes straight to your head. You know what I mean? Like, you're not thrown off by visuals. But even beyond that, I know in my life that there's been shows. I remember when Letterman used to do the 12:30 show. My life was going through a rough period where I'd be like, in 8 more hours, I'm going to turn on Letterman. You know what I mean? Like, it literally was the best part of my day when that show started. So when he went out of his way to just, put it on autopilot, I had already been straightened out myself. But there was a time where I fucking felt like I needed that show to make it through.
It's an escape. You feel close to it.
But sometimes, there was also a time in my life where I just traveled and was living somewhere else and was cut off from family and old friends. So there was a feeling of there's my buddies, you know. And I think radio serves that purpose, you know, better than anything else. That's why it's always a letdown when Chris isn't prepared for something.
Chris, no, I mean, from getting to know you like more I knew you before, but just Chris, he's ready. He's already ready to yell. I'm about to compliment him, and he's got rage at full blast.
But do you realize how bad a compliment is for him?
I don't like it.
Yeah, I know. I tried saying I love you over email the other day, and you didn't even respond.
I thought you were, trying to bust my balls.
Yeah. It was, no, but Chris, I mean, he works insanely hard at this job, and he has, made both Joe and I more focused and better at what we do. So just thank you for that. Even in your bouts of rage, which are fun to see. In
why
spurts.
Can't you look at him when someone's saying something?
Look him in the eye.
Off-putting. It's off. Thank you, Dan Perlman, Bennington.
This would have gone easier if you were leaving, Chris, because you're making this so uncomfortable.
I'm not. Look, I'm just trying to compliment. All your family's still dead. I'm just trying to.
All right, fuck you, Perlman. Fuck you.
There, you're more at home now.
You're happy.
There you go. Are you happy? I was
fucking asshole.
I was trying to.
Does that feel better though?
Yeah, it felt like a nice release.
Yes.
Okay. You know what was the funniest part of this year is when Fez mentioned that he was stepping down, and Chris cried, and no one believed him, and people were writing. Now I know it's a fucking April Fool's joke because Chris is such a terrible bad actor. And what he was bad at acting like was a human with human emotions. I was just a kid when and people were just like, fake.
Wasn't fake. It was real.
It was my favorite fucking thing all year. It was my favorite thing to see someone be themselves and have no one believe it. So, Joe, what's this like for you? I mean, you guys came in.
Yeah, we started on the same day, and it's going to be different without you here.
Yeah, but because you did not work as hard as him.
Yeah.
You know,
No.
but, like, where's your animated series?
Joe,
That's true. I have something in the works.
We talked about this, but the day, I mean, you knew both of us, but I'd never met Joe. And when we met,
funniest day ever,
at Jazz at Lincoln Center, and you're like, this is Joe. And then you're like, oh, Joe, you do some stand-up too. And you had Joe get up in a room with just us three. It was only you, me, and Gail. And Joe got up and he's like, okay, so usually I'll tape a $5 bill underneath the front seat. And then I'll tell people like, you have any cash? And I'll reach under. And he just did his whole act there.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I don't know if this guy's a character or not, but this is the funniest.
You were in tears.
I was dying.
And now that you know him well enough, that he would leap up and do that anywhere. I mean, we could be at a funeral and somebody could say, Joe, do you want to do some of your jokes? And he would just do it.
Joe is so fucking funny, man. Like, he kills me. He kills me. And it's a different kind of comedy, but he just makes me laugh. It's outside the realm, yeah. Almost tragic. No, but sincerely, like, and also, Joe's another guy. He's just frenetic note-taking with every detail and constantly looking to make the show better and reminding if, we slip up on something or, keeping
That's that other Joe personality that Gail, when you didn't know whether he was goofing when you first met him.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, you have another side to you, and it's a very, very serious, dedicated person.
But he turns it on and off literally like he's got two personalities.
It's a switch.
And he'll go like this, and yes, exactly what are you looking for? And he'll get very serious and write down every word that you're saying, and then a second later, he's the dick again, doing really bad humor. Like, isn't it fun to do bad humor?
No, he could manage a massive Fortune 500 company in a pinwheel hat.
Right.
That's Joe.
Thank you.
And he could do that.
I'm actually
seamlessly.
starting a new pinwheel business.
There's not enough out there. I went to get a pinwheel this year. Couldn't find it. Now, granted, I stayed on the east side. I should have probably went downtown. But there's a pinwheel place on the Upper East Side right now would destroy.
Would kill.
Yeah. So this is a weird thing for us because we were just getting this show started to have the first person kind of move on is weird because we thought we would be doing this for a while with you.
Yeah, and I first of all was honored that you brought me on to be a part of the show and to, as you said, it was like a slow of everyone finding our place in it and where we can plug in our different spots with it. But just to see how you guys work every day and to be a part of a thing, like you say, building sandcastles with the show and just being a part of that on the daily sort of process. And I mean, and first of all, just Ron, just how much, I knew from coming on as a guest and when I interned here, what an incredible interviewer you are and how quick and sharp you are, but also just seeing on a daily basis just how much you manage. I mean, having just with 9 phone lines, and everyone tweeting in and all the messages and shit and managing conversations with 4 or 5 people and all the TVs on and to still be the quickest and sharpest guy in the room. I'd say it's like I could learn something from it, but I feel like it's just a thing you can't teach, but it's inspiring to see. And I was glad that you let me be a part of it, and I'm very grateful for that.
Well, first of all, is it nice that I'm not looking at you as if this is running to trouble like Chris does? You know what I mean? That I'm able to. Look, Gail's crying just because. Why? Because he likes your dad?
Yeah.
That's really sweet. But yeah, when you're talking about coming in to do this, because I have done this before, I know how long it takes before all the pieces set in. That's why I wanted to do it a little at a time this time. And the thing is, 2016 was going to be the year that we used you and Joe even more, because it takes, I had to establish Chris as a new character and Gail as a person that was three-dimensional, and people to see me in a different way, and then to bring you guys in. But the fact that they blew up for both of you guys at the thing just doesn't fucking happen. It takes a while before that happens. And people have such good feelings about what all you guys are doing in here. And I didn't expect any of you to be producing a cartoon within 6 months of that. If I had, I might have sped it up a little bit or whatever. But
there's nothing like, there's no, you ask people their home clubs sometimes. There's nothing I feel more connected to than this
That's
show.
really great, man.
Because you've been supportive of me from day one, from before I was even fully doing stand-up, and had me back at every step of my progression and been supportive through every step. So that's not a thing I'm going to forget. And like you said, if I'm not working for the show on an everyday basis, I'll still would love to work with the show and be a part of it in, whatever projects in any capacity, because I feel linked to it and I feel part of it, and that's not something that'll go away.
And you also don't know, even if this thing works out fantastic, there could be dead time that you want to come in and do different stuff. Yeah. Obviously, you're going to keep yourself in the clubs because that's your number one commitment. And that, the fact that you made these lifelong friends. I mean, Chris and I will be dead before long, but but Joe and Gail should definitely live a while,
Yeah, and I hope we can stay friends during that life. I would really like for that to happen.
Yeah. I mean, you guys will even if your robots play with each other.
Sure.
I'm talking 2-3 years in the future.
Right. Like if our brains are in robots, I hope that we would still, be friends, if that's a thing that robots can be. It's weird. I mean, I'm so happy for you, Dan, but I'm sad to break up the original 5.
Yeah, the 05, right. Really? This is kind of a animated series version of when Brian Jones drowned in the pool.
Yes, exactly. But
I'm not drowning.
I'm so excited for you because like we said, you're such a driven person. But it's gonna be weird not to see you every day. I mean, it's been fantastic. Fantastic to work with this.
I mean, it'll be weird. I mean, Gail's someone who brings, and I've talked about this with you and with Joe, but just brings so much just positive energy to it that's just been totally invaluable to the show. And for someone, and I've said this too, but to just come in like you did for a show that people knew and loved for a long time, and to just kind of get thrown right into it and to just be so fucking natural and quick and just contribute like you do. It's crazy. I mean, it's crazy to just jump onto a national show like this and be able to do what you've done. And
Dan has enough experience to know that could have went south pretty fucking quick. That's what's been so exciting about this year, that other than Chris, everyone has really come in with so much positive.
What?
So true.
Yeah. Yeah.
Close to a meltdown a lot of the times, but I think I'm doing better.
Well, definitely without Gail, Chris and I would have been much meaner to you guys in your learning curve, because that's the only way that we ever were before.
Needed a woman's touch.
What the fuck is wrong with something?
Get it right!
Don't touch my babies!
Yeah. We're like, okay, you're right.
If I can just say a word real quick for you, Dan. It's going to be different without you here, but you're someone who works so hard. I don't know if I've met someone who works as hard as you.
What is this hand gesture you're doing? What is
I'm
that?
not good with these things.
Yeah, okay.
By the way, what about the way he was holding a mic cord at the fucking stand-up?
Oh,
that's all I could remember.
That was
he was daintily holding his mic cord. It was driving.
So wonderful.
I was driving me crazy. But go ahead, you were talking about that.
Oh yeah, but you're also someone who I think it's safe to say you're someone who inspires everyone else here to work harder and to work on themselves more. And I can say that that's the case with me, at least. So it's going to be different not seeing you here, but also if you need, I don't know, like a New England aristocrat type character.
Yeah, I want to hear.
Who comes into the city every now and again, maybe rides the bus. He's not used to it.
Yeah, I want to hear.
Good.
Yeah, please.
Oh, Dad, get off the road, Dad. This isn't the Cloisters.
That's great.
Oh,
Dude.
Yeah, right.
I mean, the thing is, the Cloisters is not as uptowny as you probably think. But I know that you're trying for something. But am I crazy to say spinoff?
Yeah.
I don't think so.
No, you don't want to spin off yet?
No, yes, I do. But let me go on to my next part.
Yeah.
Oh, the Hamptons are for the summer months. You know, like he's always talking about the Hamptons.
Right.
Yeah,
and it's like always like autumn, you know?
Right.
Now you can imagine now all three of these characters on the same bus.
Oh my God.
Extra.
Oh, this is my stop.
Read all about it.
You are a card and you need to be dealt with.
Well, after hearing them all at the same time, Joe's is the worst.
Yeah.
Okay.
Only because he doesn't know what the Cloisters are.
Yeah, no, it's the place.
But what happens at the Cloisters?
Oh, tons of nouns and verbs. And
you can actually get in for free.
Oh.
While you're bragging about this being so
There's a Rodan there,
yeah.
I guess.
It's like if you mentioned the zoo as being a fancy place. Well, we're going to the zoo.
The Hampton Zoo.
We'll be eating popped corn.
Guys, stop stealing my character.
Popped corn. I believe they make hot dogs.
Said we're copying his character. He's already trademarked it.
Right. Not Thurston Howell the Third. We're copying you.
Oh, yeah.
Can I say I'll also miss Kashmir, that he's a keeper.
Is Kashmir just great, man?
He's amazing. You that kid. Yeah, so.
We all love that kid immediately.
Yes, he's got.
Jamban, you gonna miss him at all?
Yeah.
Joe, you came to love Jamban, right?
Yeah, Jamban's great.
And he was great in front of the audience, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're going to do something about South Park. Luckily, Anthony was there to be even worse.
I got to listen back because I was gathering the asylum of comics, so I missed when Anthony went up there.
By the way, all your comics, I believe, all talked about you and mentioned you in the iBang article.
That's great.
About how much they felt stabbed in the back that you brought them to here. I thought this was going to be a positive experience.
And now knowing the success that you have ahead of you, it must seem extra cruel.
Yeah. I should have told Jerry Lolly that yes, there is an audience.
I laughed at this, but when I called him the King Jerry Lolly, only the mentors laughed. They were all old wrestling fans.
I got that.
Yeah.
I will say this, though. Dan did make it a point to go out of his way to buy each one of the comics a drink right after they got off
That's
stage.
sweet.
Yes. He was like, here, get a drink on me.
I did.
Did you take care? Did he take care of that for you?
Yeah, they took care of that. Yeah, but I didn't know their mindset after getting the shit kicked out of them, so I thought it would be nice to
take that medicine.
When people listen to this, I think that they were all happy to be in that environment. And like I said, if you want to be a New York comic, this is what you're aiming yourself towards anyway.
Yeah.
You know?
And a few of them, if you listen, like, they get some lines in. A couple of them riffed in.
Yeah. Two of them actually punched the clock, I would say. I would go so far that they threw a line at the judges that landed.
Right.
Yeah.
Which made everybody ecstatic. Like the entire audience blew up and like, yay!
Right.
Like I think it would be crazy for someone to come in that way because I think you would be unlikable.
Right.
But once, it's a matter of timing. Like once you were part of it at all.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think Rachel had one and Vagina Boy had one. And then
someone did a hat joke. Was the one, is that hat still whatever? It wasn't the strongest joke, but the fact that they even throw it out there, I thought was great. And then, Joe, what about you? Did you you say anything back to the mentors?
Well, my whole thing was, I was told to be more personal on stage.
And that stopped you.
And so then I thought, I'll get political instead. So then I told a joke on politics.
Not really. Your stuff isn't. It might have politics in it, but it's not political.
You know those personal comics, like Bill Maher.
Yeah, I was trying to channel my inner Bill Maher, something I've never done before.
But actually, Soder Soder came to your defense and said, what, like Stephen Wright? And that was a very funny thing.
Yeah.
I loved it when the mentors were fucking with each other. That was great.
Yeah, they turned on each other.
Well, I think that they, it's the type of things that mentors should do if you care about something so much. I don't know why one of the mentors acted like we needed to have a winner. It never even dawned on me that we should do the fake thing of picking a winner.
And the winner, wait, was Phil interviewed? Was he able to be reached?
I don't believe so.
God
no.
Damn. He has an email address. He set one up recently.
No, but that is something that everybody wants to keep in their life. Wait a minute, why am I seeing machine guns in our subways? Are they just practicing?
Yeah, they've been doing drills lately.
They're just warming up.
Okay.
I don't like that. I don't like showing that on TV.
Yeah, I don't need to see the drills.
No. And should we all wear helmets and carry machine guns when we're underground?
Also, they don't realize some of us don't have the sound turned up, so that's very scary to just see breaking news.
Yeah, and I just bought a month-long Metro card, so I have to take the train, otherwise I wasted that money.
It's unlimited. Are you going to stay away from the machine guns?
Quit bragging about your latest investment. You see that, honey? That's a month long, okay? Many as I want. Of course, I can't swipe it twice in a row.
I got to wait 18 minutes.
You got to wait 8 minutes.
Is that how long it is?
I think it's 8 minutes, yeah.
No, it's 18.
Is it 18?
I've done it so many times, yeah.
That's nice.
Yeah.
That's cool.
I'm a nice guy. I let them swipe through first, homeless people, that is.
I'll just wait here, sir. You missed 3 trains.
Why would he wait for you? I'll be here. Yeah, just hang on a sec.
Homeless people actually think of that as a motel. They don't think of it as a sense of travel.
It's a $2.50 motel.
Yeah. Which makes me think that we probably need more beds in there. All right, now they've moved it on to another channel, and it's just guys and machine guns in the New York City subways.
Please stop practicing.
Yeah.
Or at least stop showing us.
I don't know what
that's my stop right there, that they're just showing.
Hey. What if you just saw yourself this morning and getting on the train, but you just hadn't been paying attention?
Yeah. And I was practicing my new character. Puta.
No, sir, it's a character.
There's a cartoon coming out.
At the least, shoot me in the knees and ankles. You know who else is leaving? They just announced this. Elizabeth Hasselbeck.
Mm-hmm.
Really?
No. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. She's dropping the whole thing.
You don't think they're working together, do you?
I don't know.
I can't.
If she's going to be the female lead, and that's my boss.
Come on, that's not fair.
She's playing the part of Paperboy.
You're her daughter.
Yeah.
I'm just happy not to be the son.
You're the son.
Damn it, I knew it.
It was Paperboy. Now, I hope she's okay, though, because remember she was sick last year.
Yeah.
She said because here's the thing. Her husband, that work that he does for ESPN 2 is really rare, And Hasselbeck is one of those guys who was a terrible fucking quarterback.
Now he knows everything.
And now he's an analyst.
It's fucking crazy how this shit goes down. Why was he chosen?
Because his wife is famous.
God damn it.
They recently asked him, Tim Hasselbeck, about his brother who just had won the game for the Colts, I believe. He should be the starter, and he didn't even hesitate. He was just like, no. He should not start for that team.
Yeah, really? I think he has more wins this team for the fucking Colts this year than Luck does.
It's true.
Bench my brother.
Tim Hasselbeck.
Yeah, but I kind of agree that is the smart. You're not going to take a 40-year-old guy and build a team around him.
Yeah,
you have to get back to the person that we all thought was going to the Pro Football Hall of Fame before his bad year this year.
I want Hasselbeck and Vinatieri to be the fucking cornerstones of that team.
But you do like to have a quarterback who's played a long time. It's a lot better than having a young backup.
Got to bring back Testaverde.
He's ready. And he says he can now see green. So I don't know how they're doing it. Science is just fantastic, I guess.
Funny that way.
But it is going wonderfully for him. All right, so we're going to wrap this up by saying again, Thursday and Friday, make sure you're here for the Thanksgiving show. Right now, it's time to start the party for Dan. You know, because here's the thing.
Oh, no.
Because Dan is from Philadelphia, we thought we would have some hoagies and chips and tasty cakes.
Oh, thank you. Chris is the most excited.
Dan, we're doing it!
Even peanut juice too.
Oh my God.
So we're having a little going away party for Dan. I just want to point out to the interns, we probably will need Coca-Colas for this as well. Coca-Colas.
Get to it, Cash.
But yeah, you're getting tasty
nuts.
cakes.
Woo! Oh my God.
Nice shorties for everybody. And soft pretzels. And this is a way of saying now, even if you take this show to Philadelphia, right?
Drive a long way across the bridge.
I mean, they have buses in Philly if you guys want to put it there. But we do want to have this pre-Thanksgiving going away feast for you because it means so much to us. And we only wish you the very best.
Thank you,
Dan, and this is very exciting, not just for you, but for all of us. You'll hear Dan on the Thanksgiving special, so this isn't completely goodbye.
Yes,
and you'll be back whenever you want to.
I would, yeah. I mean, I would love to stay a part of the show because there's, like I said, there's nothing. This is the coolest thing I've ever been a part of, and I'm just thank you.
Until this production deal, that's a little bit cooler. Chris, some plugs you wanted to do?
Joe Mackey's album taping is happening tonight at the Village Underground in New York City. There are 2 shows tonight, one at 8, one at 10. Tickets are free. Go to thevillageunderground.com for more information. And Barry Crimmins, he'll be performing tonight at the Creek in the Cave in Long Island City. That's tonight through Wednesday. I'll be there tonight. Go to creeklic.com for tickets. And also be at Blue in Portland, Maine, Monday, December 28th. Go to barrycrimmins.com for all their dates and more information.
Now, Louis C.K. was there to see Barry last night. Tonight will be Chris Rock. Will it be Jerry Seinfeld? Will it be Bill Cosby?
Please let it be Cosby.
Will it be the late Jonathan Winters?
Please.
Any of these people could show up tonight. All right, so that's it. Make sure you're listening Thursday and Friday. We know you're going to love it. We really are thankful this year for the fantastic year that we've all had. And, Dan had the best year, but everybody else had a really good year, too.
I'm happy. Thank you for having me be a part of it.
Now, here's what I want you to do.
Yeah.
Let everybody know that you're going to see them soon in 1974.
Well, thank you guys, and we'll see you all again 1974.
Ladies and gentlemen, the evening is over. We hope you all enjoyed yourselves, and we'll see you all again in 1974. Good evening!